Chapter 929. The leader of the World Margin Sect, Hong Yin. In the past, when the Great Jun Empire annihilated the Great Winged Heaven School, in order to deal with Jin Diyu, they asked the leaders of the 5 great sects for help. Although the leaders of the 5 great sects extorted a large sum of money from them, Yin Chuan didn't care. The World Margin Sect's Hong Yin was one of the 5 experts who had besieged Jin Diyu. World Margin Sect, World Margin Hall. The upper echelons of the World Margin Sect had gathered. Hong Yin's expression was extremely complicated. Among the group of World Margin Sect's experts in front of him, there were 4 Middle Emptiness Realm experts and nearly 100 Lower Emptiness Realm experts. The hall was completely silent. Hong Yin clenched his fists, his brows furrowed. Sect leader, the Great Jin Empire is too ruthless. The troops they sent this time are too terrifying. A middle void stage expert's expression was extremely unsightly. That's right, sect leader. The enemy sect to the south, the Eastwood sect, was defeated by the commander of the Great Jun Empire's First Legion, Huo Guang. This nobody could have imagined that he would grow too quickly. He even has Yin Chuan's Jade Emperor Sword. Once the Jade Emperor Sword formation was used, countless experts died under the Jade Emperor Sword. The Eastwood sect was careless and completely collapsed. Another middle void stage expert took a deep breath and said, "That's right. The Eastwood sect leader didn't take Huo Guang seriously in the beginning. He didn't gather the experts of the various cities and didn't activate the defensive formation. In the end, more than half of the Eastwood sect's disciples were killed or injured, and even more people fled in all directions. The Eastwood sect is no more. Of course, Huo Guang's First Legion also suffered heavy casualties. However, Huo Guang wasn't satisfied. He actually led his army and headed towards our sect." Hong Yan's expression was extremely unsightly. He shook his head and laughed bitterly. "Everyone, perhaps you still don't know. The Great Jin Empire's Second Legion destroyed the Azure Cloud sect and the Purple Cloud sect. The Third Legion destroyed the Sealing Sun sect and the Celestial Star sect. Moreover, the Third Legion is very likely to come from the west." Hong Yin laughed bitterly. "What?" Everyone's expression changed. These 4 middle void sects, they were all destroyed. The hall was instantly filled with clamor. Fear, panic, and shock. Dezhun's strength was beyond everyone's understanding. The 4 middle-level sects were all middle-level sects. In such a short period of time, the entire army was wiped out. Even if Jingting ascended, the East Divine Continent still has the Dazhao Holy Ground. Isn't the Dazhao Holy Ground too arrogant? Isn't the Dazhao Holy Ground suppressing them? A cultivator said in a low voice. Hong Yin smiled bitterly and said, "Everyone, do you know the flag of the Great Accomplishment 4th Legion that we have erected in the north?" The hall suddenly fell silent. According to the information I obtained, the commander of the 4th Army is Meng Wenruo. Meng Wenruo has been in the Great Zhao for a very long time and knows a lot of things about the Great Zhao. Meng Wenruo schemed against the cities of the Great Zhao Holy Land. In addition to the convenience arranged by Mo Yushi in the past, about 1/3 of the cities in the Great Zhao Holy Land were plundered by Meng Wenruo in one go. At this moment, it should be coming to an end. No, it's even possible that the 4th Legion is heading towards our World Margin sect. Hong Yin said bitterly. There was complete silence in the hall. 1/3 of the Great Zhao Holy Land's territory? 1/3? What kind of concept was that? The East Divine Continent has changed greatly. Another Middle Void Realm expert said bitterly. Yin Chuan? Who would have thought that this Yin Chuan is actually so powerful? The Great Jun is actually so valiant. If I had known, I wouldn't have helped him destroy the Great Winged Heaven School. Hong Yin said bitterly. In the hall, the hearts of the experts were heavy. Sect Master, can we negotiate peace with the Great Jun dynasty? A cultivator asked. Chapter 930. Hong Yin smiled and said, "Our World Margin sect faces the sea to the east and is surrounded by the Great Jin Empire on the other 3 sides. Moreover, the Great Jin Empire's army is flourishing. Do you think that they will have a meeting at this time? The hall fell silent again. Report. A voice suddenly came from outside the hall. A cultivator quickly rushed into the hall. Sectmaster, the great Jin Empire's army has arrived. The army has arrived at the sect. The cultivator reported. Everyone in the hall immediately frowned. Quickly activate the mountain guarding array. The cultivators, Jiaohu shouted. Hong Yin led a group of experts and slowly stepped out of the World Margin Hall. Standing in the square of the World Margin Hall, one could see the long army in the south. The army was still on the way, but Hua Guang was the first to arrive. Great Jin Empire's first army commander, Hua Guang, greets Sect Master Hong. Hua Guang shouted as he stepped on a ferocious tiger. Dong! A bell suddenly rang from the west. Jin Diyu led the experts he had subdued from the two middle-level sects and arrived at the World Margin sect. Great Jin Empire's third army commander, Jin Diyu, greets Sect Master Hong. Sect Master Hong, I have never forgotten that I was attacked by 4 middle-level Void Realm experts and was injured. Sect Master Hong, how have you been? Jin Diyu sneered. Roar! A tiger roar suddenly came from the north of the World Margin sect. Meng Wenra stepped on the head of a ferocious tiger, followed by a group of tiger tribe experts and some Confucian scholars. Great Jin Empire's fourth army commander, Meng Wenra, greets Sect Master Hong. Meng Wenra said with a smile. More and more experts gathered. The mountain guarding array around the World Margin sect was fully activated. Under the huge shield, countless experts did not feel safe at all. Many of them were even drenched in cold sweat. Sect Master, I have already notified the 100 cities under our control. A large number of cultivators will come to assist us. A World Margin sect disciple said softly. 100 cities and a large number of cultivators coming? Hong Yin smiled bitterly. Shaking his head, Hong Yin took a deep breath. Lord Hua, Lord Jin, Lord Meng, may I know why you three have come? Hong asked. Hua Guang took out an imperial edict. On the orders of the emperor, I've come to announce the recruitment of the World Margin sect. World Margin sect, Hong Yin, receive the imperial edict. Hua Guang shouted while holding the imperial edict. Receive the imperial edict? Once they accepted the edict, it meant that the World Margin sect was willing to submit to the Great Jin Empire. Countless disciples of the World Margin sect were enraged. However, if he didn't accept the decree, it would be an official declaration of war. Although Hong Yin was only at the middle void stage, as long as he mobilized the virtuous cloud's energy of virtue, Hong Yin's strength could rise to the upper void stage in a short time. It was just like how Yin Chuan used the golden dragon of providence. Upper void stage? Hong Yin looked at Jin Dayu with bitterness in his eyes. It would have been fine if he hadn't known about the great Jin dynasty's military achievements. However, he now knew that the great Jin dynasty had already destroyed 5 middle sections. Now, all the armies had gathered and were pressing against the World Margin sect. At this moment, could he resist? Behind Jin Diyu, there were 5 or 6 middle void stage cultivators that he knew. Jin Diyu was even at the upper void stage. Hua Guang's strength had also reached the middle void stage. The World Margin sect was besieged on all sides. They were at a dead end and had no strong reinforcements. Could they resist? Sect Master, let's fight with them. Sect Master, I'm not afraid of death. The disciples weren't afraid of the great Jin Empire, but some of them showed fear. Hong Yin smiled bitterly. World Margin sect, Hong Yin, is willing to lead the World Margin sect to submit to the great Jin Empire and receive the Emperor's edict. Hong Yin shouted. Chapter 9:31. Dajin Empire, Yin Jing Upper Study Room. Yin Chuan sat behind his desk, while Li Feng and Lu Gang stood in front of him. Lu Jin stood respectfully at the side. Yin Chuan held a memorial in his hand and read it carefully. Your Majesty, news from the Dazhao, Holy Ground. Yao Tianshang's previous life, Zhu, killed 4 upper void realm experts with a single slash. He was the strongest man 30,000 years ago. Lu Gang said. Zhu, Yin Chuan's face turned serious. The strongest man in the world. The meaning behind this title was too deep. The strongest man in the world, Jing Ming. The strongest man 10,000 years ago, Knife Demon. The strongest man 20,000 years ago, Dugu Butian. The strongest man 30,000 years ago, Ju. The strongest man 50,000 years ago, Dongfang Bubi. Every strongest man in the world not only represented their strength, but also represented a great era. Jingming had just left, and Ju had returned. Ifeng, Yinchuan said solemnly, "Your Majesty, you are in charge of collecting all information about Yao Tianshang and Ju." Yinchuan said in a low voice. "Yes," Ifeng replied. "Your Majesty, news from the East Faction Guard said that when Mohina Dojin was facing Kong Mok subordinates, he merged with a black lotus and turned into a powerful monster. The monster had a pair of horns on its head, and evil aura filled the sky. Mohina Dojin's strength was also abnormally strong. At that time, he did not use the Dezhao holy ground and only fought with his evil body. Both sides suffered heavy losses. Kong Mok subordinates were all heavily injured, and 2 Upper Void Realm experts and 14 Middle Void Realm experts died." Lu Gang said. Looking at the memorial in his hand, Yin Chuan smiled faintly and said, "It is written in the memorial. I saw it. Mohina Dojin was heavily injured, and Kong Mok subordinates were also heavily injured. 2 Upper Void Realm experts even died. Kong Mok was really unlucky in the East Divine Continent. Your Majesty, Kong Mok retreated from the Dazhao Holy Land. Although he was severely injured, he should be able to recover soon. I'm worried that," Lu Gang said with a solemn expression. Yin Chuan's face darkened as he said, "Don't worry about it. Not just anyone can barge into my Beijing." "Yes." Lu Gang secretly exhaled. Boom! Right at this moment, the sea of karmic luck surged once more. Boundless luck surged and soared into the sky. Although Yin Chuan and the others did not go out, they could still feel the sudden change in luck. "Congratulations, Your Majesty. The World's Edge sect has surrendered without a fight." Ifeng immediately guessed the result and congratulated. If it was obtained through battle, the providence would slowly increase. But now it had suddenly skyrocketed. This meant that the World Margin sect would be wiped out instantly. Jin Diyu and Huoguang probably did not have the ability to do so. It could only be said that the World Margin sect had surrendered. "Congratulations, Your Majesty. The Great Zhen Dynasty's territory is already the largest in the East Divine Continent. It's even larger than the Dazhao Holy Land," Lu Gang said excitedly. Yin Chuan nodded in satisfaction and said, "Lu Jin, old slave, is here." Lu Jin said respectfully, "Prepare the altar. The Great Zhen Dynasty is going to advance into an imperial dynasty." Yin Chuan said solemnly. "Yes," Lu Jin said excitedly. At the same time, Ifeng and Lu Gang both revealed looks of joy. World's Edge Sect. Ever since the World's Edge Sect Master, Hong Yin, announced his surrender to the Great Zhen Dynasty, the sea of karmic luck suddenly collapsed and flowed toward the Great Zhen Dynasty. Inside the World's Edge Palace, Hong Yin led 4 Middle Void Realm cultivators of the World's Edge Sect to receive Huoguang, Jin Diyu, and Mengwen Ruo. "Greetings, Your Majesties," Hong Yin said solemnly. "Mr. Hong, you're too humble. Since you're able to take charge of a Middle Realm sect, you must have extraordinary skills and abilities. The Great Jin Dynasty urgently needs talents like you," Mengwen Ruo said with a smile. Chapter 9:32. "You're too kind, Lord Meng. I'm not worthy," Hong Yin said humbly. "You're worthy, Mr. Hong. Our emperor is thirsty for talents. With Mr. Hong joining us, the Zhen will definitely prosper. Do you have any expectations?" Mengwen Ruo said with a smile as he waved his feather fan. Hong Yin smiled and said, "I've studied the Zhen system for some time. I hope that the 3 of you can let me contribute more to the Zhen, so that I won't be a lowly subject when I enter the Zhen." Mengwen Ruo, Jin Diyu, and Huoguang looked at each other and nodded in agreement. Huoguang said, "Since that's the case, you'll first gather all the disciples who are willing to join the Zhen. Then, you'll follow me to reorganize the troops. Together with me, Lord Meng, and Lord Jin, we'll consolidate the surrounding cities. Once the territory here is stabilized, you'll follow us to Yanjin to meet the emperor. Okay, Hong, Yin accepted the task. Countries and sects had different attitudes towards cities. Countries operated cities to strengthen their borders. As for the sects, they operated the cities for the sake of spirit stones. Therefore, although they had conquered a large number of cities, the system of the cities had to be changed. Moreover, the garrison of each city had to be more standardized. This was also the reason why the three commanders could not return to Dezhun. Hua Guang was in charge of the army, Meng Wenruo was in charge of politics, and Jin Deyu was in charge of dealing with any accidents. In a mountain forest in Dezhun's territory, Kong Mok sat cross-legged. His hands were suffused with black, evil qi, and his face was pale. As he channeled his energy, the evil qi in his hands was slowly being forced out. Finally, all the evil qi was forced out, and his face was much rosier. There were 80 experts sitting beside him, each of them suffusing black qi. Kong Mok stood up, and his face was extremely ugly. Not far away, the Lama was waiting quietly. Kong Mok pressed his palm on the back of an expert. Whoosh! Black qi suddenly emerged from the expert's body. Thank you, Your Majesty. Kong Mok repeated the process and helped the experts expel the evil qi in their bodies. Thank you, Your Majesty. Everyone bowed. Mohina Dojin, Myriad, Wonder Demonic Lotus? Kong Moku's face darkened. Your Majesty, this trip to the East Divine Continent can be said to have suffered heavy losses. 6 Upper Void Realm cultivators died, and the Saraira Buddha's whereabouts are unknown. Also, I don't know how the primordial Tao Buddha in the Yin capital is now. An expert said bitterly. Buddha of the primordial path? Didn't you hear about it when you came here? The Great Jun Imperial Dynasty dispatched troops everywhere and already broke through quite a few sections. The origin Tao Buddha definitely didn't succeed. Kong Mok said with a gloomy expression. What should we do now? Everyone looked at Kong Mok. Since we can't control the Great Perfection, then forget it. We'll go destroy the Great Perfection now and seize its providence to make up for our losses. Kong Mok said solemnly. Yes, everyone replied. Everyone mounted the dragon horse together. Let's go, Kong Mok shouted. The group of people rode on their dragon horses and headed south to Yinjing, Great Jin Dynasty, Yinjing, inside the imperial city. In the sky, surging providence churned endlessly. Below, hundreds of officials stood respectfully in the square of the heavenly hall. On the square, there was a huge platform. Lu Jin stood on the platform, holding a horsetail whisk in her hand as she looked at the sky. It's time, Lu Jin shouted. Clang! The door of the heavenly hall opened with a bang. The officials bowed respectfully at the entrance of the heavenly hall. Yin Chuan, dressed in a dragon robe and a flat imperial crown, stepped out in an extremely grand manner. Chapter 9:33. Long live the Emperor! The officials congratulated him. Under the respectful gazes of the officials, Yin Chuan walked towards the high platform step by step. Yifeng, Feng Yinyang, Lu Gang, and the others were among the officials. Not far from the Skyward Hall, Bai Tian was also watching this scene. Yin Chuan walked up the platform, which was a huge altar. He took the investiture of the gods and the great heavenly seal and placed them on the jade table on the altar. Kneel to the heavens! Lu Jin shouted. Yin Chuan waved his dragon robe and knelt on the futon. Roar! Above the Providence clouds, the golden dragon of Providence suddenly roared. Boom! The golden dragon of Providence swooped down and opened its mouth to bite the investiture of the gods. It grabbed the great heavenly seal with its claws. Roar! The golden dragon of Providence carried the investiture of the gods and the great heavenly seal and soared into the sky. Bow! Lu Jin shouted. Yin Chuan bowed to the heavens. Bow again. Yin Chuan bowed again. Bow thrice. Yin Chuan bowed thrice. Rise! Lu Jin shouted again. Yin Chuan waved his dragon robe and stood up gently. Lu Jin bowed respectfully to Yin Chuan and then slowly retreated from the huge altar. When the Great Jin dynasty was established, Lu Jin had also shouted this. However, at that time, she had not only bowed to the heavens, but also to the earth. However, now that the dynasty had become an imperial dynasty, she had stopped bowing to the earth. She bowed to the heavens and not the earth. Roar! A loud dragon roar came from below the heavens. As the dragon roar spread, the entire sea of Providence clouds seemed to churn violently. Roar! In the sky, the golden dragon of Providence descended again. Boom! The golden dragon of Providence fell into the sea of Providence clouds. For a moment, the sea of Providence seemed to shrink rapidly. Surging Providence rushed into the golden dragon of Providence. One could vaguely see that the golden dragon of Providence had taken on a corporeal form. It radiated golden light in all directions and was extremely domineering. Above the sea of Providence, the investiture of the gods and the great stabilizing heavenly seal slowly descended towards Yen Chuan. Both of them emitted a faint, colorful light. Apparently, they had been given new karmic titles by God after they had soared to the ninth heaven. Buzz! The two trembled slightly. Yen Chuan took a deep breath. Instead, he turned to look at the sea of Providence. The success or failure of the golden dragon of Providence was the most important thing. Boom! The sea of Providence shrunk by nearly half. Endless Providence poured into the golden dragon of Providence. An hour later, above the sea of Providence clouds, a dragon's roar shook the heavens. The roar shot into the 9 heavens, shaking the endless clouds in the surroundings to the point that they were instantly shattered. There was not a single cloud in sight for thousands of kilometers. The golden dragon of Providence appeared in front of everyone once again. The golden dragon seemed to have taken on a corporeal form. Its entire body exuded vigorous energy. Its body became 10,000 feet long, and its horns were much more prominent. Most importantly, its claws changed from the original 5-clawed golden dragon to the 9-clawed golden dragon. The 9-clawed golden dragon of the imperial dynasty? Yen Chuan smiled in satisfaction. The 9-clawed golden dragon raised its head and roared. As it roared, endless golden light shot out and instantly shot towards all the officials of the Great Jin dynasty. For a moment, countless officials suddenly felt a powerful surge of providence descending upon them. The officials of Great Jin all felt a great amount of providence descending upon them. They all felt their pores open. Many of them even felt that the shackles of their cultivation had been instantly broken. Lu Gang and the other officials were all overjoyed. From today onwards, Great Jin, a country under the Imperial Dynasty, will be promoted to Imperial Dynasty China, the Great Jin Imperial Dynasty. Receiving the mandate of heaven, I shall live a long and prosperous life. Yen Chuan shouted in satisfaction. Long live the Great Jin Imperial Dynasty. May your majesty live for 10,000 years. May your majesty live for 10,000 years. Chapter 934. Great Jin Empire North. Inside a large hall, Meng Wenruo was dealing with some government affairs when a golden light shot into his body. Whoosh! A breeze blew around Meng Wenruo, causing the pages to flutter. Providence? Is this the Imperial Empire? Meng Wenruo sighed. Meng Wenruo stood up and stepped out of the hall. Outside the hall, a group of scholars looked at Meng Wenruo. Lord, I can feel that our providence has increased. A scholar exclaimed. Meng Wenruo nodded and smiled. My lord, did His Majesty promote the Great Jin Empire to an imperial empire? The scholar asked excitedly. Meng Wenruo nodded, then shook his head. Remember, Great Jin is now an imperial empire. Many rules and systems have changed. Don't call him emperor anymore. Call him your majesty. Yes. The scholar nodded. Go and do your work. Meng Wenruo said. Yes. After the scholar left, Meng Wenruo looked to the south. Imperial Empire? Imperial Empire's providence is stronger than Jilu Academy's? Jilu Academy has always been thinking of ways to increase their providence, but has never succeeded. 1 life, 2 luck, 3 feng shui, 4 virtues, and 5 studies. 5 studies? Is the purpose of studying just to be sold to the royal family? Meng Wenruo frowned. Jilu Academy had thought of many ways, but their providence had never increased. But Great Jun Empire's providence had surpassed Jilu Academy's in a short time. Meng Wenruo even understood that there was a celestial empire above the imperial empire. Once they reached the celestial empire, their providence would increase by another level, just like the great tragedy celestial empire in southern divine continent. Great Jin Empire, everyone rejoices. Meng Wenruo smiled. Jilu Academy, on a high platform. Dean Yu looked at Meng Lingtian. Meng Lingtian, however, looked to the northeast. His expression changed slightly. Senior, now that you have the body of an immortal, you can also step out of this world. If Jilu Academy is under your control, it will definitely prosper. Senior, please take control of Jilu Academy. Lu Yi said solemnly. Meng Lingtian shook his head. No need. Do you feel it? Meng Lingtian asked solemnly. What? Yi asked doubtfully. Looks like you can't feel it. Meng Lingtian shook his head. Senior, what happened? Yi asked curiously. That's the Great Jin dynasty in the northeast, right? Meng Lingtian asked in a deep voice. That's right. The Great Jin Empire also has providence. Meng Lingtian took a deep breath and said, right now, the Great Jun dynasty's providence is even greater than the Jilu Academy's. What? How is that possible? Yi said in surprise. I remember that Meng Wenruo is currently an official in Great Jin. Meng Lingtian asked curiously. Yes, your great-great-grandson. His position in the Great Jin Empire isn't light. He's the commander of the 4th Legion. Lu Yi nodded. Send someone to take a look. Meng Lingtian said. Yes. Great Jun Empire, Yanjing. When Great Jun became an imperial dynasty, the officials instantly felt a boundless amount of fate descending upon them. That was the benefit of Great Jun. With providence on their bodies, cultivation became more convenient. Some of the less talented people, such as Yifeng and Lu Gang, instantly tripled their cultivation speed. Moreover, everyone understood that as long as Great Jun became stronger, the providence on their bodies would increase. Yin Chuan's training hall. The sword of God was placed on his knees. The hall was filled with countless spirit stones. Rumble. Under the powerful suction force, the chi of heaven and earth in the spirit stones surged into Yin Chuan's body. Chapter 9:35. After purifying countless zombies, the power of his birth chart skyrocketed. At this moment, a large amount of heaven and earth essence energy entered Yin Chuan's body and madly strengthened his cultivation base. First level of the middle void stage. Second level of the middle void stage. Third level of the middle void stage. Fourth level of the middle void stage. Fifth level of the middle void stage. It only stopped when it reached the 5th level of the middle void stage. God's sword? It's almost on par with the Emperor's sword in my past life. The Grand Emperor's sword accompanied my body in my past life. I wonder if my coffin is still there. Yin Chuan smiled bitterly. Yin Chuan smiled bitterly. Suddenly, Yin Chuan's eyes narrowed. Yin Chuan's expression darkened. Following that, Yin Chuan slowly closed his eyes again. At the same time, in the Great Jun Imperial Dynasty, the 9-clawed golden dragon that was hovering above the Sea of Providence suddenly opened its eyes. Roar! The 9-clawed golden dragon of Great Jun suddenly let out an earth-shattering roar. Countless cultivators in all directions of Yin capital looked up. They saw a powerhouse in the sky was sent flying by the 9-clawed golden dragon's tail. Boom! A powerhouse was sent flying. Above the Sea of Providence, the 9-clawed golden dragon's eyes narrowed. It was Yin Chuan's eyes. Yin Chuan controlled the golden dragon of Providence with his soul. The nine-clawed golden dragon looked coldly at Emperor Imo, who was riding on a dragon horse with 80 powerhouses. Each of them was aggressive and filled with battle intent. The nine-clawed golden dragon stared at Kong Imo. Both of them looked at each other coldly. Bai Tian, Yifeng, Lu Gang, and the others quickly rushed out of their respective halls and arrived at the Skyward Hall Square. Kong Imo, the nine-clawed golden dragon, said coldly. Kong Imo looked at the nine-clawed golden dragon with narrowed eyes. Nine-clawed golden dragon? Imperial dynasty? Yin Chuan, you're really lucky. Kong Imo said with a gloomy expression. The nine-clawed golden dragon scratched the Sea of Providence and looked down at Kong Mok. Kong Mok, are you declaring war against the Great Jin Empire in the name of the Great Buddha Empire? The nine-clawed golden dragon shouted coldly. Ha ha ha, it's good that you know. That Jin Dayu is still in the north, right? The only upper void realm cultivator in the Swallow capital is Bai Tian. Let's see how you're going to stop me. I really shouldn't have been merciful to you back then. Kong Mok said with a cold light in his eyes. Be merciful to me? You really have the cheek to say that? Back then, if I didn't die, I would have exchanged my father and mother's life for theirs. They died unwillingly, and I will avenge them. Wash your neck and wait. As for now, scram. With a dragon roar, the nine-clawed golden dragon unleashed a vast oppressive dragon aura. The dragon's might was so strong that it forced the group of dragon horses to retreat. Oomph. Kong Mok snorted coldly and blocked the dragon's might. How dare you? Slaughter the city and leave no one alive. Kong Mok snorted coldly. Bai Tian's expression changed, and he was about to step out. Bai Tian, you don't have to do anything. The nine-clawed golden dragon shouted. Bai Tian looked at the nine-clawed golden dragon in confusion. This is the Great Jun Empire and the Swallow capital. This is my home ground. I might not be able to kill Kong Mok, but I can protect myself. None of them can touch this Swallow capital. The nine-clawed golden dragon snorted coldly. Feng Yinyang, the nine-clawed golden dragon shouted. Yes, Feng Yinyang shouted. Under Feng Yinyang's control, the endless mountains and rivers around the Swallow capital rumbled loudly. Under the loud rumbling, the power of the dragon veins rushed into the sky. Chapter 936. The power of the dragon meridian soared into the sky. It didn't enter the nine-clawed golden dragon. Instead, it turned into balls of light that surrounded the nine-clawed golden dragon like stars. The balls of light soared into the sky like stars in the sky. The stars surrounded the nine-clawed golden dragon. The nine-clawed golden dragon looked like the supreme power of the heavens. It made people flinch. However, as soon as Kong Mok gave the order, 80 powerhouses soared into the sky. 14 upper void stage cultivators and 66 middle void stage cultivators charged toward Yin Jin with a ferocious aura. Among them, 5 of the upper void stage cultivators stood in the sky and slashed down with their energy sabers. Under the attack of the energy sabers, a storm rose in the void. The 5 energy sabers slashed down like 5 heavenly swords. The nine-clawed golden dragon glared and stepped forward. Stellar cycle. The nine-clawed golden dragon shouted coldly. The endless stars of dragon chi that surrounded the nine-clawed golden dragon suddenly charged toward the 5 energy sabers. Whoosh! Feng Yinyang protected the area below Yin Jin with an array formation. It was not affected by the storm raging in the sky. However, countless people could see it clearly. Thousands of stars swirled around the saber as it shot forward. In an instant, the saber of the upper void realm exploded with a loud bang. Bam! The attacks of the 5 upper void stage cultivators were all shattered. The 5 middle void stage experts at the very front also instantly charged into the heavenly cycle of stars. The endless stars of dragon chi twisted violently. The huge twisting force squeezed the 5 middle void stage cultivators. The 5 of them shouted in shock. They each took out their Dharma treasures and formed a shield to protect themselves. Bam! 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 Under the strangling power of the heavenly cycle constellation, even if one used a magic treasure to protect himself, it would still explode instantly. Blood mist rose into the sky. The 5 middle void stage cultivators were killed in an instant. The 9-clawed golden dragon charged toward the upper void stage cultivator at the front. The upper void stage cultivator slashed at the 9-clawed golden dragon. Clang! The 9-clawed golden dragon exploded with golden light. Under the dazzling golden light, the blade only left a shallow scar on the dragon's scales. When the golden light dissipated, the golden dragon's claw grabbed the practitioner's leg. Ah! The upper void stage expert roared in shock. However, it was already too late. The 9-clawed golden dragon had already clawed at his upper body. Senior brother, a Shioja in the distance exclaimed in shock. However, the 9-clawed golden dragon completely ignored them and pulled with its 2 claws. Rip! That upper void stage expert was torn in half by the 9-clawed golden dragon. Boom! Blood and organs flew everywhere. The experts who were sprinting all stopped in their tracks in horror. 5 middle void stage martial artists were killed by the stars, and 1 upper void stage martial artist was torn apart on the spot. They had only met once. It had only been a single exchange. Needless to say, Kong Mok and the others opened their mouths in shock. Even Bai Ditian looked at this scene with his mouth agape. This didn't make sense. The 9-clawed golden dragon had just advanced to Imperial Dynasty, and it was already so powerful. Although that upper void stage expert was only at the 2nd level, he was still at the upper void stage. He was torn in half without any resistance. How powerful was the 9-clawed golden dragon? Throwing away the torn corpse, the 9-clawed golden dragon landed on the Sea of Providence again. Boom! The Sea of Providence churned. The dragon aura stars continued to revolve around the 9-clawed golden dragon. The 9-clawed golden dragon looked at Kong Mok from afar. Kong Mok, do you want to come again? The 9-clawed golden dragon said coldly. In just one exchange, another upper void stage expert and 5 middle void stage experts died. Kong Mok's heart was bleeding. He had brought 22 upper void stage experts to the East Divine Continent. Were they all here to die? Yin Chuan, where are the Origin Path Buddha and the Relic Buddha? Kong Mok seemed to have realized something and asked. Dead, the 9-clawed golden dragon said in a low voice. Kong Mok's face darkened. Your Majesty? The group of upper void stage experts looked at Kong Mok. Kong Mok was in a bad mood, and the group of upper void stage experts were even more terrified. After Jing Ting ascended, the original 22 upper void stage experts could be said to be invincible. But now, they were dying one after another. This was too fast. From the Dazhao, sacred ground, to here, there were only 13 left? How could this be? Yin Chuan, I will be back. I will tear you into pieces. Kong Mok said coldly. I will wait for you in Yin Jing, the 9-clawed golden dragon said coldly. Let's go, Kong Mok shouted. Riding on their dragon horses, the group of people rode towards the west. It was not that Yin Chuan did not want to kill, but the 9-clawed golden dragon had its own restrictions and could not stop the group from leaving. Standing on the Sea of Providence, the 9-clawed golden dragon watched as Kong Mok left. Then, it sat up again and closed its eyes to cultivate. In the training room, Yin Chuan suddenly opened his eyes, got up, and walked out of the main hall. Along the way, Kong Mok and his subordinates were all silent. The atmosphere was extremely heavy. The East Divine Continent was unfavorable. The journey here was not smooth sailing. Roar! Kong Mok roared angrily. Your Majesty, are we going back now? An upper void stage expert asked. No, I want to kill, Kong Mok said through gritted teeth. Kill. Go to the Jilu Academy. Even if I can't get the providence of the Dajin Empire, I want to get the providence of the Jilu Academy. Oomph. Kong Mok said coldly. Yes. The group of people rode on their horses to the Jilu Academy to welcome the last disaster of the East Divine Continent. Chapter 9:37. Dazhao Holy Land, Dazhao Mountain. The original Wu Clan Hall had been changed to Dazhao Palace. Within the Dazhao Palace, Mohina Dojin's face darkened as he smashed a tea table with his palm. The 6 middle void stage cultivators and Yang Zigu's faces were extremely ugly. Father, during your battle with Kong Mok and the others, 2 of the 4 vassal sects of Zhao were exterminated while the other 2 sects mostly surrendered to the Great Zhun Empire. Yang Ziga shouted, "Bastards, we should have taken back their merits long ago." Mohina Dojin said with a gloomy face, "Thanks to Mo Yushi's help in the past, a large number of Great Zhun's men were placed in the southeast of Dazhao Holy Land. At this moment, 350 cities of Dazhao Holy Land have fallen into the hands of Great Zhun." Taking a deep breath, Mohina Dojin said coldly, "Yin Chuan? I really underestimated him back then. Master, our Great Zhao Sacred Land currently has 650 cities. Although the Great Zhun dynasty destroyed our vassal sects, they only took the cities of the Fengyang sect. If our sect takes the cities of the other 4 vassal sects, and if we include the other middle-level sects that are fighting over them, our Great Zhao Sacred Land will be able to reach 1,000 cities." A middle void realm cultivator said, "1,000 cities?" Mohina Dojin took a deep breath and nodded. "Father, should we kill Yin Chuan?" Yang Zigu said with a gloomy face. The middle void stage cultivator immediately said, "Young master, we just received news that Kong Mok brought the remaining people to Yin Chuan." 5 middle void stage cultivators and 1 upper void stage cultivator died on the spot. According to the conversation between Yin Chuan and Kong Mok, the Primordial Path Buddha and Relic Buddha also died at the hands of Yin Chuan. "What? Impossible!" Yang Zigu exclaimed. The middle void stage cultivator shook his head to express his confirmation. Mohina Dojin's face darkened. He then shook his head and said, "Forget it. The Great Zhao Holy Land's mid-level strength is empty. Let's stabilize these 1,000 cities first." "Yes." Everyone nodded. "Pick some lower void realm disciples who are absolutely loyal to the Great Zhao Holy Land. This sovereign will use the 10,000 Wonders Bewitching Lotus to quickly raise their cultivation and stabilize the Great Zhao Holy Land." Mohina Dojin said solemnly. "Yes." Everyone immediately responded. Great Jin Empire, Yin Capital, Chaotian Palace. Huaguang, Jin Diyu, and Meng Wenruo had all returned. Ranking in the court, Yifeng stepped forward. "Congratulations, Your Majesty. My Great Zhun Imperial Dynasty now controls 1,100 cities in the East Divine Continent. We are number 1 in the East Divine Continent." Yifeng smiled. "Congratulations, Your Majesty." The officials all bowed respectfully, expressing their excitement at this moment. 1,100? How many years has it been since Dezhun was established? Wasn't it developing too quickly? Similarly, the officials of Dezhun were also incomparably excited. The more powerful Dezhun was, the more benefits they would receive. I suggest that the Great Zhun Imperial Dynasty stop expanding its territory and focus on stabilizing the Great Zhun Empire's territory. Yifeng shouted. "I concur." Meng Wenruo also shouted. "I concur." The officials immediately said. "Approved." On the dragon throne, Yin Chuan nodded. Yifeng stepped forward. Lu Gang stepped forward. "Reporting to Your Majesty, the East Factory Guard of the Julu Academy has reported. Kong Mok has brought a group of thieves to Julu Academy and is preparing to massacre the Julu Academy. They want to steal the fortune of the Julu Academy," Lu Gang said respectfully. Meng Wenruo's expression changed. Although she wasn't at the Julu Academy, she was still somewhat worried. Chapter 9:38. It's a pity that he was defeated at the Julu Academy again. Lu Gang reported. "Oh." Yin Chuan was curious. A person called Meng Lingtian appeared at the Julu Academy this time. When Kong Mok gave the order to massacre the city, Meng Lingtian attacked and killed 2 upper void realm cultivators and 10 middle void realm cultivators with a single palm. In the end, they let Kong Mok go because of the Kong family. Lu Gang reported excitedly. The official sighed. Kong Mok was so unlucky. 11 upper void realm cultivators had died in the East Divine Continent. How big a blow was that? Meng Ling Tian? Meng Wenruo exclaimed. Wenruo, you know Meng Ling Tian? Yin Chuan looked at Meng Wenruo. Meng Wenruo stepped forward blankly. Yes, Meng Ling Tian is my great-grandfather. Your Majesty has been to the Julu Academy and knows that Goddess Yi Chun is in the 100 Saints Righteousness Altar. There are hundreds of immortal statues in the Julu Academy. Meng Ling Tian is only one of them. I know that there is a world of light in the 100 Saints Righteousness Altar. It seems that Meng Ling Tian lives in the world of light. This place suppresses immortals. Meng Ling Tian was able to attack safely. It seems that the laws of heaven and earth changed after Jingting removed the heaven seal. Yin Chuan said seriously. Immortal? The officials sucked in a breath of cold air. There were immortals in the Julu Academy? World of light. Meng Wenruo frowned. There are hundreds of immortal statues in the 100 Saints Righteousness Altar. I didn't pay attention. Now, that Meng Ling Tian is one of the immortals. There should be more than one immortal in the world of light, right? Yin Chuan analyzed as he tapped his dragon throne. More than one immortal? The official's expressions turned ugly. I'm not sure. Among the 100 immortals, more than half of them have been recorded as having ascended. Some of them, such as my great-grandfather, may have ascended outside the Julu Academy. Some of them may still be living in the world of light. I'm not sure. Meng Wenruo shook his head. Since there are immortals in the Julu Academy, it's possible that there are immortals in the various sects with long histories in the world. Meng Wenruo, I want you to count all the sects and families that have existed for more than 10,000 years. Yin Chuan ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. Meng Wenruo answered. After the court meeting, some of the important officials of Great Zhun did not leave. Instead, they went to the upper study room for Yin Chuan to meet them. In the upper study, Yin Chuan faced Meng Wenruo. Your Majesty, I dare not. This burden is too heavy. Meng Wenruo smiled bitterly. Is it heavy? Didn't Yifeng do very well in the past? Yin Chuan smiled. But Meng Wenruo was still worried. Immortals have appeared. Great changes have happened in this world. I must quickly prepare all the countermeasures. Meng Wenruo, in the future, there will be more than 1,000 cities in Great Zhun. In the future, there will be 10,000 cities, 100,000 cities, or even more. Dealing with the current cities is the most basic. I allow you to transfer civil officials from the Julu Academy. As for how to subdue the generals, Meng Wenruo, I'll give you the title of Commander of the 4th Corps. I hope you won't bury this title. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Yes, I will definitely protect Great Zhun for Your Majesty. Meng Wenruo said affirmatively. Good. Go. Yin Chuan nodded. Meng Wenruo left, and Lu Gang entered the upper study room. After Yin Chuan gave him some instructions, Lu Gang's expression changed. Lu Gang's expression changed as he immediately understood Yin Chuan's plan. Your Majesty, please rest assured. If Meng Wenruo is in charge, my East Depot guards will definitely be hidden everywhere. There won't be any slip-ups. The East Depot will definitely monitor the world for Your Majesty, Lu Gang said solemnly. Chapter 9:39. Yes, Lu Gang. Although your constitution isn't good, I think highly of you. This time, you will stay and set up a perfect East faction. If you can ensure that you can escape safely next time, I will bring you out. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Your Majesty. Don't worry. I won't disappoint Your Majesty. Lu Gang promised. Yes, the Empress won't be going with me this time. If you encounter anything big, you can report it to the Empress. Yin Chuan said. Yes. Lu Gang nodded. Go. Yin Chuan said. Lu Gang left, and He Guang, Yifeng, Jin Yu, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian entered the study together. The 5 of them knew something was up. Bai Ditian, your tiger demons will have to work harder this time and listen to ZZ and Meng Wenruo's orders. This is to prevent any mutiny into Zhun while we are away. Yin Chuan said carefully. Don't worry. Bai Ditian nodded. He Guang, Go back and tell Tanlang not to cause any trouble during this period. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Don't worry, Your Majesty, Huoguang said with a hint of excitement. Looking at the five of them, Yin Chuan nodded and said, This time, we will be dreaming of Tianji. Prepare well. After I settle everything in 10 days, we will set off. Yes, the five of them replied. Yin Jing, in a forbidden area in the palace. Tiger demons were guarding the area. No one was allowed to come close. In the sky above this forbidden area, a dark cloud constantly flashed with lightning. Under the dark clouds were naturally Yin Chuan and ZZ. The two of them leaned on a roof and looked at the scenery around Yin Jing. I won't be able to see you for many years again. ZZ sighed. I'll just lie here. You can see me every day. I just can't say it. Yin Chuan comforted ZZ. A smile blossomed on ZZ's face as she said, I'm already very happy to be by your side. Don't worry, with me around, no one will disturb you. Kissing ZZ's forehead, Yin Chuan whispered in ZZ's ear, Actually, next time when I come back, we might be able to. ZZ was stunned at first, then her face turned red. She punched Yin Chuan twice and said, I don't want to. Yin Chuan laughed. Meow. A discordant voice jumped over. Yin Chuan, where are you going? Why aren't you taking me with you? Meow said in a displeased tone. If you go with me, who will accompany ZZ? Your mission is the most important. I have a large number of spirit stones waiting for you to eat. Yin Chuan said with a smile. A large number of spirit stones? Meow's eyes lit up. Meow. All right, for the sake of the spirit stones, I'll accompany Sister ZZ. Meow immediately smiled. ZZ smiled faintly. By the way, they're already here, Meow Meow said. Yin Chuan looked at ZZ, and both of them stood up at the same time. They flew down from the roof. Below, Huoguang, Yifeng, Jindiyu, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian stood together. Xianying Palace? Yifeng looked at the palace in front of him. He saw Yin Chuan and ZZ land. Greetings, Your Majesty. Greetings, Your Majesty. Everyone shouted. Yin Chuan nodded. ZZ smiled faintly. Dream of heaven's secrets. Your Majesty, are we going to do the same as Meng Wenruo? Jindiyu asked curiously. After all, Jindiyu had witnessed the strangeness of dream of heaven's secrets last time. Yin Chuan shook his head. No, it's different this time. The sealed world is too small. Let's soul travel together. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Soul travel? Your Majesty, our souls will enter the immortal realm? Huoguang said in surprise. That's right. Let's go to Xianying Palace. Yin Chuan nodded. Chapter 940. Xianying Palace. When Yin Chuan led the group into the palace, Feng Yinyang was already waiting for them. Inside the palace, there were 7 coffins in total. 1 main coffin and 6 other coffins placed side by side. The hall was filled with raging yin energy. Your Majesty, your subject's feng shui formation has simulated the heavenly tribulation acupoint. The heavenly tribulation acupoint is filled with yin energy. It is inappropriate for it to fall into the palace. Thus, your subject built this Xianying Palace with the dragon veins from all directions to guard the yin energy. Thus, this palace is named Xianying Palace. Feng Yinyang explained. Xianying Palace? Yin Chuan furrowed his brows and fell into deep thought. Your Majesty, is there something wrong with this name? Feng Yinyang asked doubtfully. Yin Chuan came back to his senses and shook his head. No, I just felt that the name sounded familiar. Perhaps I was overthinking. Xianying Palace, not bad. Yin Chuan looked at the group. In a moment, our souls will enter the immortal realm. I will remind you one by one in the immortal realm. But do you know what to do next? Your Majesty, please guide us. The group looked at Yin Chuan. After your soul enters the celestial realm, your soul won't stay in the celestial realm for long. At the same time, you don't have to worry about your future because once the time is up, or if I summon your souls, you will all return. In this limited time, you must be free from all restrictions and restrictions. Do not be bound by any rules. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Then what should we do? Huoguang was puzzled. Be a devil for all ages. Yin Chuan's eyes darkened. Devil? Hua Guang's expression froze. Remember one word, Yin Chuan said solemnly. The group looked at Yin Chuan. Kill, Yin Chuan said with a serious expression. Yes, everyone replied. Yin Chuan lay in the main coffin, while Hua Guang, Yifeng, Jin Diyu, Lu Jin, Bai Ditian, and Feng Yinyang lay in the other 6 coffins. He placed a black jade talisman on his forehead. Yin Chuan looked at ZZ and Miao and said, Let's go. Yes, ZZ replied with a gentle look in her eyes. Then, a huge black banner at the side suddenly shook. Who? Inside the main hall, black smoke suddenly swirled around, and a chilly wind blew. Hua Guang and the others gradually fell into a deep sleep. Whoosh! The black banner swayed again. Great soul, go! Following Yin Chuan's shout, the souls of the 7 people rushed out and split into 200, which meant that there were 1,400 souls. They shot up into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. Dream of heaven's secrets. Yin Chuan led the 6 people and rushed to the immortal world. Yin Chuan and the others entered the dream of heaven's secrets. The East Divine Continent was in an uproar at this moment. The world was huge, so it took a long time for news to spread to the various large sections. There were still 16 middle-level sects in the East Divine Continent. These 16 middle-level sects had all received news from the Great Jin Empire. In the main hall of a middle-level sect, there were 10 cultivators sitting in the main hall. The 10 cultivators' faces were gloomy as they looked at the blue-robed cultivator in the lead. Sect Master, this is impossible. The Great Jin Empire? Isn't this growth rate too terrifying? One of the cultivators said with an ugly expression. Sect Master, when the Great Jin Empire destroyed the Great Winged Heaven School, you went to help. Is it Yin Chuan really so powerful? Another cultivator frowned. The sect master looked bitter. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yin Chuan, who was in the immortal realm back then, actually destroyed 7 middle-level sects. Chapter 941. There must be something we don't know. Continue to investigate. I want information on all the officials in the Dajin Empire. Also, where has Yin Chuan been all these years? What has he been doing? The sect leader clenched his fists. Sect leader, the Dajin Empire controls 1,100 cities. It's already the number 1 in the East Divine Continent. If we do this, won't we anger Yin Chuan? A cultivator said with a complicated expression. The sect leader's expression also turned ugly. Anger? Secretly collect information. Yes. Also, an immortal has appeared in the Julu Academy. Send disciples to investigate. Also, the Great Zhao Holy Ground is filled with evil energy. Send people to investigate as well. The sect leader said. Yes. Everyone replied. The same scene occurred in the various middle-tier sections. Jingyu ascended. After ascending, the East Divine Continent instantly became a tripartite balance of power. The Dajin Empire had the first territory. The Great Zhao Holy Ground was the only upper-tier sect. Julu Academy had an immortal. Whether they admitted it or not, at this moment, the 3 major powers of the East Divine Continent were determined. As for the remaining 15 middle-tier sects, they were interspersed between the 3 major powers. Although they were also middle-tier sects, individually, they were far inferior to the 3 major powers. The originally peaceful world suddenly seemed like a storm was coming. Jilu Academy. At the entrance of the radiant world, Dongfang Zhengpai's face was dejected. Heavens, old Meng, how many years has it been? Why do you still want me to cultivate Confucianism? I want to go out. Dongfang Zhengpai lamented. Umph. A cold snort came from behind Dongfang Zhengpai. Dongfang Zhengpai's face stiffened. He immediately turned his head and looked at the gloomy Meng Lingtian. Ah, teacher, a day apart really feels like 3 years. Teacher, you don't know, but under your guidance, I feel like I've grown a lot. I'm so touched that I can't even express it in words. Teacher, please accept my sincere worship. Dongfang Zhengpai instantly revealed a fawning expression. Seeing Dongfang Zhengpai's expression, Meng Lingtian's face twitched. What kind of person is Senior Dongfang Booby? How can he have a descendant like you? Meng Lingtian's face was filled with disappointment. Teacher, you flatter me. Student's skin is thin. Dongfang Zhengpai's skin was extremely thick. Meng Lingtian, since you don't want to stay, that's good. I have something for you to do. Meng Lingtian said. What is it? Dongfang Zhengpai's eyes lit up. Find Sima Yuntian and tell him that he wants to know who his ancestor is. Tell him to come back immediately. Your mission is to bring him back to Julu Academy. Meng Lingtian said. Looking for Sima Yuntian? Dongfang Zhengpai was extremely fat. When he saw that he could leave this cage, he was so excited that all the fat on his body started to tremble. Teacher, I'll definitely complete the mission you've given me. However, once I leave, I don't know when I'll be able to see you again. I can't bear to part with you. Dongfang Zhengpai pretended to wipe his eyes. If you can't bear to part with me, then let Meng Rongrong go. Meng Lingtian laughed. Dongfang Zhengpai's face turned solemn. Teacher, how can we do that? Meng Rongrong was a girl. How could she run around the world? How dangerous was that? Although the mission is difficult, I'll definitely complete it. Teacher, I'll leave early and return early. Whoosh! Dongfang Zhengpai immediately disappeared. Seeing that Dongfang Zhengpai was nowhere to be seen, Meng Lingtian laughed bitterly. It was hard to understand how Dongfang Booby could have such an outstanding descendant. Meng Rongrong, on the other hand, remained calm. Rongrong, Meng Lingtian called out. Yes, great-grandfather. Meng Rongrong looked at Meng Lingtian. Your skills in the Tao of the Guqin are truly astounding. I've received permission to teach you the 8 notes of the Sky Demon. Are you willing to learn it? Meng Lingtian asked. 8 notes of the Sky Demon. Meng Rongrong frowned. The 8 notes of the Sky Demon. Even I can only learn up to the 3rd note. That's because it requires one to sever all emotions in order to reach the other shore. I can't do that. You're the most skilled person I've ever met in the Tao of the Guqin. Are you willing to learn it? Meng Lingtian said seriously. Sever all emotions? Meng Rongrong frowned. At this moment, Meng Rongrong didn't know why, but that barbaric figure suddenly appeared in her mind. Think about it. Once you've made up your mind, come and find me. Meng Lingtian said. Yes, great-grandfather. Meng Rongrong nodded. West Divine Continent. Kong Mok led more than 60 experts back on horseback. Along the way, the experts were all silent. They were feeling terrible, especially Kong Mok. When he'd first gone to the East Divine Continent, Kong Mok had been extremely ambitious. He'd even felt that it wouldn't be impossible for his team to destroy Jingming City. But the battle in the East Divine Continent had caused Kong Mok's ambitions to be thwarted again and again. Challenging Jingming? Courting death. Luckily, King Yu of the Southern Divine Continent had tested the waters for everyone. Jingming's strength had already exceeded everyone's expectations. Then, he had subdued Yao Tianshang and lured out the strongest person in the world 30,000 years ago, Zhu. 4 Upper Void Realm experts had died. Mohina Dojin had killed another 2 Upper Void Realm experts. Yin Chuan had killed another 3 Upper Void Realm experts. Finally, Meng Lingtian had killed another 2 Upper Void Realm experts. No one would be able to understand the hardships of this journey. No one would be able to understand the grievances he had suffered along the way. Challenging one and kicking an iron plate. Challenging one and kicking an iron plate. Challenging one and kicking an iron plate all the way back, Kong Mok felt like dying. How could this be? Kong Mok asked himself along the way. Finally, Kong Mok arrived at the Great Buddha Empire. He had finally returned. At the entrance of the capital, roar! Kong Mok let out a loud roar. Your Majesty is back. Your Majesty, bad news, Your Majesty. Before Kong Mok could finish venting, a group of officials ran over, their faces filled with grief and anger. Kong Mok suddenly had a bad feeling. What happened? Kong Mok asked in a low voice. Your Majesty, some time ago, a woman came. She called herself the Empress. One of the officials shouted. Empress? Yes, she called herself the Empress. Then, She found the habitat of the Ice Phoenix clan and slaughtered all the Ice Phoenix clan. Not one was left alive. Not one was left alive. The official said in horror. What? The Ice Phoenix clan that submitted to me were all slaughtered? The Ice Phoenix, he's an upper void realm expert. Kong Mok exclaimed in shock. Yes, he's an upper void realm expert. However, that Empress is too powerful. The Ice Phoenix could not escape at all. He was killed by the Empress with a single slash. The corpse of the Ice Phoenix is still here. Your Majesty, the official Jiaohu said. Another upper void realm expert? Another upper void realm expert died. Ah, roar. Kong Mok roared in depression. Chapter 942. Book 6 Heroes Rise Together Chapter 1. Return after 50 years. Great Jin Empire, Yinjing. In the main hall of the Eastern Military Factory's headquarters, Liu Gang looked at a factory guard in front of him. Governor, Yin Yinyan left Yinjing alone and headed west. Although he thought he could hide from everyone, he was still seen by a Baihu. A guard reported respectfully. Yin Yinyan? Looks like Yin Xiuyu's son is still brooding over Yin Xiuyu's death and went to find Yin Wudi. Liu Gang said with a frown. Sir, should we capture him? The guard asked solemnly. Liu Gang frowned and pondered for a while. Not for the time being. We'll talk about it after I report to the Empress. Liu Gang shook his head. At the same time, Meng Wanruo also received the news. My lord, this Yin Yinyan clearly went to find Yin Wudi for revenge. Should we capture her? An official respectfully asked Meng Wanruo. Meng Wanruo frowned and pondered deeply. In the end, she took a deep breath and shook her head. No, let him go. Let him go. The official asked in surprise. First of all, you have no way to prove that he is definitely looking for Yin Wudi for revenge, so there is no reason to arrest him. Secondly, even if it is true, it is not our place to intervene. This is an internal matter of His Majesty's clan. Meng Wanruo said in a deep voice. Yes, the official could only helplessly reply. At the same time, several members of the Yin clan who were highly respected also arrived at the Imperial Palace to see ZZ. Empress, we've already restrained them, but we didn't expect Yin Yinyan to be so bold. It's better to capture him as soon as possible. An elder of the Yin clan said worriedly. ZZ shook her head and said, Everyone, there's no need to be nervous. His Majesty has already considered all of this. Let him go. Everyone was at a loss. 45 years later, Central Divine Continent, the Dugu family, sword mount. Yin Wudi held the heaven-mending sword in his hand as he battled the 9 experts. Countless Dugu family members were quietly watching from all directions. Shing, shing, shing. As soon as the heaven-mending sword appeared, huge sword lotuses bloomed in all directions. As soon as the sword lotuses appeared, endless sword lights shot towards the 9 experts to surround them. The swordsmanship of the 9 great experts was also extremely tyrannical. Complex swordsmanship was even more at the fingertips of these 9 people. The 9 experts' swordsmanship was excellent, but it was a pity that Yin Wudi's swordsmanship was stronger. Standing in the middle of the sword lotus, he was like a sharp sword that shot into the sky, causing others to cower in fear. Boom! The sword lotus exploded, and more than 3,000 sword lights sent the 9 experts flying. Shing! There was a long sword at each expert's throat. The long sword didn't move any closer. It merely stopped at the throats of the 9 experts, emitting a series of sword cries. He exhaled softly. Yin Wudi smiled faintly. Boom! The sword chi exploded, and the divine sword fell into the sword tomb. The 9 experts had all been defeated. The 9 experts looked at each other. Solitary sword pays respect to the patriarch. The Dugu 2 swords greets the patriarch. Solitary 9 swords greets the patriarch. The 9 experts bowed respectfully. At the same time, the Dugu family members all around also bowed respectfully. Greetings to the patriarch. Standing high in the sky, Yin Wudi's face revealed a trace of excitement. Uncle Chuan, I succeeded. I finally got everyone's recognition. Yin Wudi said to himself excitedly. Just as Yin Wudi was excited, a man who looked like a beggar had arrived outside the Dugu family. He was in a sorry state. Chapter 943. The man's hair was disheveled, and his face was covered in blood and mud. His clothes were tattered, and he looked extremely miserable. Dugu family? The man looked at the stone tablet, and his eyes were filled with tears. Who are you? Suddenly, there was a loud shout, and 2 disciples of the Dugu family stood in front of the beggar. I want to see Yin Wudi. I want to see Yin Wudi. He is my brother. After the beggar finished speaking, he fainted. Yin Wudi? Brother? Quickly report to the family head. One of the disciples said immediately, yes. One of the disciples quickly rushed into the house while the other transferred a stream of true energy to the beggar. When the beggar woke up again, he was lying in an extremely spacious hall. The beggar opened his eyes and looked around. Suddenly, he saw Yin Wudi standing at the side. Brother, brother, the beggar immediately cried. Yin Yin, why are you here? What happened to your injuries? Yin Wudi frowned. Brother, father is dead. Father was forced to death by Yin Chuan. You have to avenge father. The beggar cried. What? Yin Wudi's face changed. Father was forced to death by Yin Chuan. Impossible. Yin Wudi exclaimed. It's true, brother. The beggar grieved. Yin Wudi's face was extremely ugly. How is it possible? Uncle Chuan forced father to death? How is it possible? Yin Yin, tell me clearly what's going on. Tell me clearly, Yin Wudi said impatiently. Yin Yin sorted out her thoughts and told Yin Wudi everything from beginning to end. Yin Wudi clenched his fists tightly and his face turned pale. Brother, brother, Yin Yin cried. Yin Yin, you recuperate first. 10 days later, I will return to Yinjing with you. Yin Wudi's face was extremely gloomy. Yes, Yin nodded. It was the 50th year since Yin Chuan brought his officials into the heavenly secret realm. Below a city, Yin Chuan led the 6 of them to look ahead. It was an incomparably majestic city. Its size was even larger and more majestic than the number 1 city in the sealed realm, the Great Zhou City. Unfortunately, all that was left of this city were dilapidated walls and dilapidated walls. He could vaguely see a broken stele erected not far away. On the stele were the words Qin capital. Qindu? Is this the capital of your previous life? Bai Tian asked curiously. Everyone looked at it carefully. Previous life? Yin Chuan's previous life? After following Yin Chuan for so many years, they vaguely knew some things about Yin Chuan. Dezhan in the previous life? Was this the capital of Dezhan in his previous life, the capital of Qin? Yeah. Unfortunately, after I died, this place was reduced to a pile of ruins, and it was even burned by demonic flames. The energy of the world is extremely chaotic. Yin Chuan sighed lightly. As he spoke, Yin Chuan took a step forward and flew into the sky. Everywhere he passed, he looked down at his surroundings. The 6 of them followed closely behind. There was not a single person in the vast city. Everything looked bleak. Gradually, the 7 of them flew into a dilapidated hall. Yin Chuan looked at the deformed corner and smiled bitterly. This was the place where his previous life's wife, Zhenro, died. Zhenxiong? Yin Chuan's eyes were cold. The 6 of them did not dare to interrupt. They quietly waited for Yin Chuan. Only when Yin Chuan calmed down did Yin Chuan take a step forward and fly out of the Qin capital to another place. It was in the mountains. The mountains were shrouded in fog, making it difficult to see what was inside. After flying for a while, Yin Chuan and the others landed on the peak of a mountain. Chapter 944. In front of them was a desert surrounded by mountains. However, the desert here was made of black sand. Yin Chuan narrowed his eyes. After all, this was the place where Yin Chuan's body from his past life was buried. It was not like this back then. How did it end up like this? 7 souls? 7 ghost cultivators? Ha ha! How dare ghost cultivators wander around the mortal realm? It just so happens that I'm in need of a few ghost puppets. I was worried that I couldn't find any high-level ghost cultivators. So, you've delivered yourselves to me? A voice suddenly rang out. Following that, a huge black screen shot into the sky from a nearby forest. A domineering aura pressed down on them. A cultivator who was 100 feet tall could be seen in the black screen. However, this cultivator was extremely ugly. His face was covered in pustules. At this moment, he was charging toward them arrogantly. Yin Chuan did not move. Hua Guang suddenly took a step forward. Hua Guang flipped his hand, and a blood-red spear appeared in his palm. The spear was brimming with a murderous aura. "You have a death wish." Boom! He thrust the spear forward, and a violent storm swept up in the surroundings. The storm was blood-red, as though it contained an endless amount of murderous aura. How can this be?" The 100 feet tall heretic exclaimed. A skull appeared in his palm to block the attack. Boom! The skull exploded, and the spear pierced the heretic's chest. "How can this be?" The heretic cried out in shock. However, at this moment, the energy spear retracted and slashed down. Boom! The heretic crashed into the ground. A huge crater was formed in the ground. The 7 of them looked down at the heretic. The heretic, on the other hand, was completely dumbfounded. Is this a ghost cultivator? His chest was shattered, and he was severely injured. The ghost cultivator could not fight back at all. The heretic knew that he had hit a wall this time. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. "Seniors, I've offended you earlier. Please forgive me," the heretic said sorrowfully. "I remember that there were 100 huge mountains here. How did it become a black desert?" Yin Chuan asked in a low voice. That was a long time ago. Senior, you don't know? The evil cultivator was a loss. "Speak," Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes, senior. There used to be nothing here, but one day, a swordsman came and split a mountain peak with a swing of his sword. At that time, a feng shui master appeared and tried to stop him, but the swordsman was too strong. He couldn't stop him at all. In the end, the feng shui master sacrificed his life to open the door to the netherworld. Unexpectedly, there was a huge spring below. The spring swallowed everything around it, and then the door to the netherworld closed, leaving behind a land of black sand. The heretic explained, "Sufu, Zhen Rose Master, so he has always been guarding my tomb." Yin Chuan muttered to himself, "Do you still remember who that sword cultivator is?" Yin Chuan asked coldly. "Oh, I remember that the feng shui master scolded him. His name is Zhen Xiong." "Yes, Zhen Xiong," the evil practitioner recalled. "Ha ha ha ha." Yin Chuan laughed out loud. His voice was filled with coldness. "Zhen Xiong isn't even willing to let go of my corpse? Let's go." Yin Chuan shouted coldly. He turned around and led everyone away. The heretic was at a loss when he saw everyone leave just like that. "We can't stay here any longer. It's too terrifying. We have to leave immediately." The heretic struggled into the forest. Yin Chuan and the others continued flying. Yin Chuan's face was gloomy, and everyone else was silent. The atmosphere was extremely tense. "Where are we going now, Your Majesty?" Lu Jin asked. "We're going back first. I heard ZZ calling for me. It seems that Yin Jing has reappeared. Zhen Xiong, I will be back. When I return, it will be the day of your death," Yin Chuan said coldly. "Yes, Your Majesty," everyone replied. "Let's go back." Yin Chuan waved his hand, and everyone immediately disappeared. Chapter 945. Great Jin Dynasty, Yinjing. Skyward Hall Square. On one side of the plaza, Yin Wudi returned with a strong momentum. Behind him were 20 disciples of the Dugu family. Each of them held a sword as they coldly looked at the Skyward Hall before them. Yin Wudi was the leader, and his eyes were filled with endless hostility. Yin Yinyun, on the other hand, was excited. Yin Wudi, the head of the Dugu family, the invincible Dugu. Along the way, Yin Yinyun had already understood how powerful her brother was. There was no need for Yin Wudi to make a move. A Dugu clan disciple behind him could kill the great fiends blocking his path with one sword strike. Yin Wudi looked at the Skyward Hall with a gloomy expression. At this moment, the officials of the Great Jin Dynasty were standing in the square of the Skyward Hall. Meng Wenruo and Lu Gang frowned as they watched, along with a group of Yin clan relatives. An old man from the Yin clan said, "Yin Wudi, you cannot blame His Majesty for your father's death. That's right. If His Majesty wanted your father to die on purpose, why would he wait until he rebelled? Also, His Majesty didn't make things difficult for your younger brother and sister. He only stripped them of their titles and gave them to their descendants. His Majesty has already done his best." Another Yin clan elder said, "Yin Wudi, be rational. It was your father who rebelled first. Your father rebelled. Rebelling is a capital offense. Your father brought this upon himself. Yin Wudi, let go of your prejudices." The Yin clan relatives kept trying to persuade him. However, Yin Wudi's eyes were red. He shook his head gently and said, "But he is still my father, brother." The group of Yin Wudi's younger brothers and sisters didn't know what to do. Their eyes were all red. He wanted to take revenge for Yin Xiuyu, but Yin Xiuyu had only herself to blame. It was indeed Yin Xiuyu's fault. Although Yin Xiuyu was his father, it was an indisputable fact. However, they couldn't just ignore it and pretend that nothing had happened. After all, that was their father. "Tell Yin Chuan to come out and see me," Yin Wudi roared. As he roared, a storm of sword qi suddenly burst out in all directions of Yin Jin. At this moment, Yin Wudi also felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. On one side was Uncle Chuan, whom he admired the most, and on the other side was his biological father. Although it was his father's fault, he was still his father. Why? What Yin Wudi had said before was different from the truth. At this point, Yin Wudi had also figured out. However, even if he understood it, so what? In the end, Yin Chuan killed Yin Xiuyu. The Yin clan relatives at the side were also anxious. The Yin clan relatives were extremely happy that a powerful person like Yin Chuan had appeared in the Yin clan. Now that another powerful person had appeared, the Yin clan relatives were naturally excited. However, these two powerful people were now standing on opposite sides. This would be a great disaster for the entire Yin clan bloodline. There was no way to persuade him. Yin Wudi didn't listen at all. After all, that was his father. Everyone was anxious. At this moment, in the Xianyang Palace, Zizi gently called out to Yin Chuan, "The dream of heavenly secrets." Everyone else was only left with their bodies. However, the master of this technique, Yin Chuan, left a trace of consciousness that could connect to the soul outside. Whoosh! Suddenly, a gust of Yin wind blew in the main hall. In an instant, endless Yin qi spewed out. Rumble! The entire Xianyang Palace trembled violently as a powerful aura spread out. Huff! 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 Chapter 946. One by one, the souls rushed into Yin Chuan's body. Yin Chuan's soul was the first to return. In the blink of an eye, 200 souls entered his body. Buzz! Yin Chuan opened his eyes. "He's awake." Meow. Meow said excitedly. ZZ also revealed a happy smile. When Yin Chuan opened his eyes, he was slightly stunned. It was as though he was sorting out everything in his mind. 200 souls. That was 200 lives. At this moment, the 200 memories quickly merged and became a part of Yin Chuan. Phew! Yin Chuan exhaled softly. He slowly regained his senses and gently removed the black jade talisman. He was the first to walk out of the coffin and looked at the 6 people who were still sleeping. He grabbed the soul summoning banner. "Soul, return." With a soft shout, a chilly wind blew in the hall again. More than 1,000 souls quickly returned to Yin Chuan and entered his body. The other 6 people also opened their eyes in the blink of an eye. Huo Guang, Lu Jin, Yifeng, Jin Diyu, Feng Yinyang, and Bai Ditian. Almost all of them were stunned as they integrated the 200 memories that did not belong to any order. After a while, the 6 of them finally regained their senses. After taking a deep breath, everyone looked at Yin Chuan at the same time. "Thank you, Your Majesty," everyone shouted. "We've been in the heavenly secret realm for 50 years and 200 souls. It's equivalent to 10,000 years in the heavenly secret realm. Although it's not continuous, the increase in the power of our birth charts is still counted in 10,000 years. Moreover, the 200 lives are also precious treasures. Merge them well and transform them into strength as soon as possible, especially Huoguang, Lu Jin, and Yifeng. Strive to break through to the void realm. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Don't worry, Your Majesty. I'm confident. Huoguang, Yifeng, and Lu Jin said with a smile. 10,000 years? At that moment, Feng Yinyang, Bai Ditian, and Jin Dayu were filled with emotions. Cultivation? Compared to this, the various cultivation methods in the past were simply too weak. Feng Yinyang felt that as long as he could fully assimilate this experience, he would not be weaker than his master, Li Kanglin. In fact, Feng Yinyang felt as if he could connect with the stars. Bai Ditian also felt that his strength had increased. Even in the upper void realm, Bai Ditian was an extremely powerful existence. Jin Dayu sucked in a deep breath. In the past, he had been in seclusion in the Great Winged Heaven School, which was nothing compared to this. Was this the power of 10,000 years of birth chart? On the other side, Yin Chuan looked at ZZ. Meow, 10,000 years? Was it really that exaggerated? Meow, I want to go too. Next time I want to go too. Meow cried out pitifully as she grabbed onto Yin Chuan's sleeve with her little paws. All right. Yin Chuan nodded affirmatively. Meow. Meow was finally satisfied. What happened? Yin Chuan asked. Yin Wudi is here. He's at the entrance of the Skyward Hall. ZZ said with a frown. He's here? What's supposed to be here has finally come. Yin Chuan took a deep breath and nodded. At the entrance of the Skyward Hall, Yin Wudi's eyes were bloodshot as he held his sword. Wudi, His Majesty, is not in Yinjing. It's been 50 years. Ask around, everyone knows about it. You should go and burn incense at your father's grave first. A relative of the Yin clan persuaded. There's no need. If I can't see Yin Chuan, I won't have the face to see my father. Yin Wudi shook his head firmly. But the relative of the Yin clan said with a complicated expression, His Majesty has arrived. In the distance, Lu Jin's voice suddenly sounded. Lu Jin's voice caused the officials to turn their heads in surprise. Chapter 9:47. Only a few officials in Xianying Palace knew about Yin Chuan's dream of entering the heavenly secrets. The others thought that Yin Chuan had left the palace. Now that Yin Chuan suddenly appeared, everyone was at a loss. Yin Chuan, Jin Diyu, Yifeng, ZZ, and the others walked over. For a moment, there were no more doubts. Greetings, Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. The officials bowed. Yin Chuan also walked to the entrance of the Skyward Palace under everyone's gaze. Lu Gang and Meng Wenruo looked at everyone curiously. They wanted to see what was different. Yin Chuan walked in front, and everyone followed behind him. Step by step, he walked up to Yin Wudi. Brother, brother, it's him. It's Yin Chuan who forced father to death. Yin Yin shouted. Shut up. Yin Wudi shouted. Yin Yin looked at Yin Wudi in surprise, and she forgot to speak. Seeing Yin Chuan, Yin Wudi's eyes flashed with a complicated hatred, and the heaven-mending sword in his hand trembled. Wudi, you're back, Yin Chuan said with a smile. Xing. He waved the heaven-mending sword, and the tip of the sword pointed at Yin Chuan. How dare you? Huoguang, Lu Jin, Jin Diyu, and the others shouted in unison. Yin Chuan waved his hand lightly, stopping everyone shouting. Wudi, you can't point your sword at His Majesty, a Yin clan relative shouted anxiously. Since Great Zhun was established, there were rules and etiquette. Pointing a sword at His Majesty was tantamount to treason, and there was no turning back. This was not a question of forgiveness, but the system of the country. The emperor was honorable and could not tolerate the slightest insult. Even if His Majesty forgave you, the civil officials' impeachment memorials could drown you. Seeing Yin Wudi raise his sword, the hearts of all the Yin clan members rose. They were worried for Yin Wudi. Yin Chuan smiled faintly and said, Back then, in the feng shui formation of the myriad wonders demonic lotus, I once promised you that I would allow you to challenge me once. It seems like it's going to come true today. As soon as Yin Chuan opened his mouth, all the Yin clan members were overjoyed. With His Majesty's promise, they didn't have to worry about being impeached by the civil officials. You forced my father to his death. Yin Wudi's eyes flashed with pain. So you want revenge? Yin Chuan smiled faintly. Yes, I want revenge. Yin Wudi's eyes turned red again. Yin Wudi understood that this matter could not be blamed on Yin Chuan. But as a son, he had no choice but to seek justice from Yin Chuan for this groundless cause and effect. Although he didn't want to raise his sword against Yin Chuan, he had no choice but to do so. Then come, let me see how much you've learned over the years. Yin Chuan nodded in satisfaction. Yin Chuan agreed to Yin Wudi's life and death battle. Your Majesty's body is priceless. You can't risk your life. Your Majesty, please reconsider. Immediately, the officials cried out. However, Yin Chuan waved his hand and stopped the ministers from advising. Let's go. Yin Chuan stepped into the sky. He flew high into the sky. The Emperor's sword was left behind. Yin Chuan only held the Jade Emperor's sword in his hand. Buzz! The Jade Emperor's sword vibrated. Yin Chuan was ready for battle. Master? The Dugu family members cried out. They were slightly worried. Everyone stay here. This is between me and Yin Chuan, Yin Wudi said in a low voice. Yes, the Dugu family members answered. Whoosh! Yin Wudi also flew high into the sky. Standing in the sky, the two of them looked at each other. Yin Wudi took a deep breath. In his mind, he abandoned the worship for Yin Chuan and only remembered the hatred for Yin Chuan. The heavenly vein sword in his hand trembled slightly, and an unstoppable aura gushed out. On the other side, Yin Chuan held the Jade Emperor's sword in his hand. He was not arrogant and was also waiting with rapt attention, because Yin Chuan knew how terrifying Yin Wudi's legacy was. The uncle and nephew were about to fight. Chapter 948. A great battle between uncle and nephew was about to break out. Yin Wudi's eyes narrowed, and he waved the heaven-mending sword in his hand. Boom! The entire world was filled with an endless storm of sword chi, covering the sky and the sun. For a moment, killing intent shot out in all directions, closing in on Yin Chuan. As soon as the sword chi storm appeared, many of the ministers of Great Jun revealed looks of shock. Feng Yingyang's face darkened as he waved his hand. Who? Countless arrays were quickly formed around Yin Jin. Clouds rose from all directions, forming a giant array shield that enveloped Yin Jin to prevent the people from being affected. Boom! Endless sword chi madly pierced towards Yin Chuan. At the same time, Yin Wudi also suddenly made his move. As soon as he attacked, the heaven-mending sword turned into a huge sword aura and slashed at Yin Chuan's shunting acupoint. Yin Chuan smiled faintly and pulled the Jade Emperor sword up. Ding! The Jade Emperor's sword energy collided with the heaven-mending sword, and the heaven-mending sword was knocked back. Yin Chuan's surroundings abruptly erupted with boundless sword energy, forming a storm of sword energy. Yin Wudi's storm of sword energy spun clockwise towards Yin Chuan, while Yin Chuan's storm of sword energy spun counterclockwise towards the sword energy outside. Rumble! As the swords clashed, the sky was filled with the thunderous sounds of swords clashing. Yin Wudi's heaven-mending sword slashed down again. Ding, 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 ding. The heaven-mending sword directly pierced through the two sword chi storms and crazily slashed at Yin Chuan. His speed was extremely fast, faster and faster. Ding, 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 ding. Soon, the trajectory of the heaven-mending sword could no longer be seen. One astral sword after another appeared, seemingly forming a river of swords. The river surged towards Yin Chuan. His speed was too fast. In an instant, he sent out tens of thousands of sword lights. Yin Wudi's face became ferocious, and his sword became faster and faster. Similarly, Yin Chuan's sword was also astonishingly fast. The Jade Emperor's sword cleverly struck the heaven-mending sword each time. The two of them exchanged attacks. Their arms could no longer be seen clearly. They were too fast, so fast that it was as if they had merged into the void. There were also countless sword cultivators among the common people in Yinjin. However, when countless sword cultivators looked at the two people in the sky, all of them felt ashamed of their inferiority. Not to mention the strength, just the speed of the sword was shocking. Only the expressions of the Dugu family's disciples didn't change. That was because all of the Dugu family's disciples were capable of transforming their swords into rivers. Is that all? Yin Chuan asked in a deep voice. Yin Wudi's expression was ferocious. Suddenly, Yin Wudi's figure blurred and then condensed again. The sword river in his hand remained unchanged, as if nothing had changed. How could that be? Another Yin Wudi? A Yin clan's relative exclaimed. Originally, Yin Wudi was standing to the south of Yin Chuan. However, Yin Chuan's figure suddenly appeared to the north of Yin Wudi. Yin Wudi's expression turned serious. Suddenly, he slashed Yin Chuan from behind Yin Chuan. It was as if there were two Yin Wudi attacking Yin Chuan from both sides. Boom! Yin Chuan seemed to have eyes on the back of his head. He suddenly stabbed his sword into the back. Ding, 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 ding. The Yin Wudi from the north was the same as the one from the south. His sword was shockingly fast as it slashed towards Yin Chuan. However, Yin Chuan was still calm. He swung his sword again and again, continuously repelling the sword light in front of him and behind him. Has His Majesty's sword slowed down? Lu Gang frowned. No, His Majesty's sword is faster. It's just so fast that you can't see it. Hua Guang shook his head. Chapter 949. In the sky, two Yin Wudi fought against Yin Chuan, but Yin Chuan was still calm. Sword doppelganger? Not bad. Yin Chuan smiled slightly. Oomph. Yin Wudi snorted coldly. Whoosh! Suddenly, one Yin Wudi appeared to the east and the west of Yin Chuan. Four Yin Wudi besieged Yin Chuan, slashing at Yin Chuan from all directions. At this moment, in everyone's eyes, Yin Chuan's sword became even slower. He slowly swung his sword to the south, repelling all the sword rivers in the south. He slowly swung his sword to the north, repelling all the sword rivers in the north. He slowly and unceasingly repelled Yin Wudi's endless attacks. What sword technique is this? Yin Wudi asked in surprise. Sword 22 of the 24 moves of sword. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Sword 22? Yin Wudi's face became more and more ruthless. Whoosh! More and more Yin Wudi appeared. In an instant, 9 Yin Wudi appeared in the storm of sword chi. They attacked Yin Chuan from 9 different directions at an extremely terrifying speed, slashing at him with sword after sword. At this moment, the disciples of the Dugu family also gradually became serious. That was because the disciples of the Dugu family were finally able to see that Yin Chuan's sword Dao was extremely frightening. Sword 23. Yin Chuan shouted softly. Boom! Yin Chuan swung his sword, and the Jade Emperor's sword left behind afterimages. These afterimages did not disappear, but slashed at the heaven-mending sword, and erupted with a force that suppressed the heaven-mending sword. Streaks of heaven-mending sword energy were counterattacked. For a moment, the battlefield between Yin Chuan and Yin Wudi seemed to have turned into a huge lotus. The lotus had 4 layers. The first layer was Yin Wudi's sword chi storm. The second layer was Yin Chuan's sword chi storm. The third layer was endless heaven-mending sword, and the fourth layer was endless Jade Emperor's sword. A huge sword lotus bloomed in the sky above Yin capital. Countless sword cultivators looked at the sword light that filled the sky. For a moment, a large number of sword cultivators seemed to have an epiphany as they felt the aura of the endless divine sword. Yin Wudi slashed again and again, and Yin Chuan easily dealt with it. Yin Wudi's face showed a trace of anxiety. Roar! The 9 Yin Wudi suddenly roared. Suddenly, Yin Wudi's hair turned blood red, and an endless mist of blood surrounded him. Blood demon! Countless cultivators exclaimed in shock. The same as His Majesty? A courtier cried out. On the other hand, The Yin clan's relatives widened their eyes in shock. How can this be? Isn't the blood demon only His Majesty and his son have it? Yin Wuti has it too? Could it be the bloodline inheritance of the Yin clan? Suddenly, a Yin clan relative came to a realization. At the same time, the Yin clan relatives' hearts trembled. If Yin Wuti could do it, then they could do it too. In the sky, Yin Wuti turned into a blood demon, and his body emitted an extremely evil aura. "Ha, Yin Chuan die!" Yin Wuti shouted excitedly. Whoosh! The sword light that Yin Wuti unleashed once again turned blood red. Furthermore, the power of each sword light was more than 10 times greater, and the speed was also more than 10 times faster. In an instant, the blood river rushed down from all directions, rushing towards Yin Chuan from 9 different directions. It added a glamorous glow to the peerless lotus. Yin Chuan waved his sword and suddenly became a little embarrassed. Yin Chuan didn't use any super skills or other means. He still fought sword against sword. 9 blood seas surged over, bringing with them the power to destroy the world, suppressing Yin Chuan to the point where he was momentarily flustered. Chapter 950. You're indeed born with a sword bone. Yin Chuan smiled excitedly. 24 swords, Yin Chuan shouted. Buzz! With Yin Chuan as the center, a sword chime spread in all directions. As soon as the sword chime was heard, the surrounding sword chi, sword aura, and sword aura rose. Buzz! Buzz! The swords of countless sword cultivators around Yin Jin also vibrated, as if they were echoing the sound of Yin Chuan's Jade Emperor sword. Almost all the swords in the entire Yin Jin vibrated. Even the swords of the disciples of the Dugu family also vibrated. Impossible. The Emperor's sword chime is enough to make all the swords bow to it. Only the old master can do that. How can Yin Chuan do it? A disciple of the Dugu family exclaimed. The disciples of the Dugu family also exclaimed. High up in the sky, the blooming sword lotus violently trembled at this moment. The first layer of sword chi collapsed with a bang. The second layer of Yin Chuan's sword chi also collapsed. 8 of the 9 sword rivers on the third layer suddenly vibrated and collapsed. Only one of them was still struggling. At the same time, the Jade Emperor sword also clashed with that one. Boom! The Jade Emperor sword and the Heaven Mending sword clashed, creating a storm in the sky. The clouds in a 10,000-mile radius were blown away. Yin Wuti's body was sent flying like a shooting star, crashing into a mountain peak in the distance. Boom! The mountain peak exploded with a loud bang. Yin Wuti's body fell into the broken mountain. Yin Chuan stepped forward. Family Master! The disciples of the Dugu family immediately rushed over. Whoosh! Bai Ditian, Jin Diyu, and Hua Guang immediately stood in front of them. Get out of the way! The disciples of the Dugu family exclaimed. However, Bai Ditian, Jin Diyu, and Hua Guang didn't give way at all. Rumble! Everyone started fighting again. In the ruins, Yin Chuan looked at Yin Wuti, who was lying on the ground. Yin Wuti's blood-red hair had already disappeared as he withdrew his super divine ability. Looking at Yin Chuan, Yin Wuti's eyes were red, and sorrow was brewing in his eyes. Wuti, you're the most talented swordsman I've ever seen. Although you lost, it's only because of me. You're only at the lower void realm. Even if you use your super divine ability to push your strength to the middle void realm, you still can't compare to me in terms of experience. At the same level of swordsmanship, no one is your opponent. You even force me to use the 24 moves of sword. You've inherited Dugu Butian's legacy, so you'll have limitless potential in the future. Don't think about the past anymore. Looking at Yin Chuan, Yin Wuti felt a lump in his throat. It was like a child getting scolded by an adult for doing something wrong. Go and burn some incense for Yin Xiuyu. Yin Chuan sighed softly. Yin Chuan turned and walked away. However, Lu Jin flew over. Yin Wuti, this is the letter that Yin Xiuyu asked His Majesty to leave for you. His Majesty asked me to give it to you. Lu Jin handed over Yin Xiuyu's will before she died. Looking at the unopened letter, Yin Wuti felt a lump in his throat. At the same time, his eyes became moist. "Father, I'm unfilial." Yin Wuti gently took Yin Xiuyu's will. Yin Xiuyu asked Yin Chuan to pass the letter to her son so that Yin Chuan could read the contents. She didn't want her son to take revenge. She hoped that Yin Chuan could give her son a path. How could Yin Chuan not understand? However, Yin Chuan still didn't open the letter. After taking the letter, Yin Wuti wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. Then, he flew towards Yin Xiuyu's grave. Chapter 9, 51. At Yin Xiuyu's grave, Yin Wuti brought his younger siblings to offer incense to Yin Xiuyu. A few members of the Yin clan had also arrived. Of course, there were only a few of them. 50 years had passed, and Yin Xiuyu's death had gradually faded from everyone's minds. Yin Wuti visited the grave, and everyone tried to persuade him. The Dugu clan members stood not far away, waiting. His younger siblings were still a little sad. Yin Wuti then took out the letter. The words "to my son Wuti" were written on it. With a heavy heart, Yin Wuti tore open the envelope and began to read. It was Yin Xiuyu's handwriting. Back then, Yin Xiuyu had given Yin Wuti a secret signal that she would put more emphasis on the fifth and last word of her letters. The letter in front of him was obviously written by Yin Xiuyu herself. "My son, I have made a bad decision. I may die for it, but I have no regrets. If I fail, please do not resent Yin Chuan. It has nothing to do with him. If I die, I have only myself to blame. But in my heart, I really want to give it my all, even if my bones are crushed. This is my will as a father, and I will not regret it even if I die 10,000 times. I also understand that Yin Chuan treats the Yin clan extremely well, even better than I did back then. I can see that the Yin clan's glory is coming. It is in you, in Yin Chuan. Do not resent Yin Chuan. The Yin clan can only achieve glory by concentrating. I'm not as good as Yin Chuan. Although you are born with a sword bone, I can see that your achievements are at most that you can become the leader of a sect, no matter how strong it is. As an emperor, you cannot be stronger than Yin Chuan. Take good care of your younger brother and sister. Father can't protect you anymore. I know that you will definitely resent Yin Chuan, but don't. If you want to resent someone, resent the 1,000 Buddha holy ground and the great Buddha imperial dynasty. I no longer had the ambition to become an emperor back then, but those bastards kept on egging me on. I understood that if I didn't agree, I would have died then and there. My little ambition was forced to inflate by them. If I succeed, you won't be able to see this letter. If I die, it means that the 10,000 Buddha holy ground and the great Buddha imperial dynasty forced me to do so. They're the ones who killed me. My son, I can see that Yin Chuan values you a lot. Do your best to assist Yin Chuan. Even if I die, it's enough that you're alive. That's enough. Looking at the letter, Yin Wuti's eyes teared up again. 1,000 Buddha holy grounds, great Buddha empire. Yin Wuti roared in anger. Big brother, what did father say? The younger siblings asked in tears. Yin Wuti passed the letter to his brothers and sisters. Everyone looked at it. I know. Kong Mok, Kong Mok. A younger brother's eyes were filled with hatred. 7 days later, Lu Gang led Yin Wuti to the prison. Yin Wuti was wrapped in a black robe. His face couldn't be seen. In the prison, there was a huge prison cell. A group of black-robed men sat cross-legged. Although their cultivation was sealed, they had a certain foundation. They hadn't eaten or drunk for decades, but they were still alive. Lu Gang, don't you know that we are from the 1,000 Buddha holy ground? We are loyal to Emperor Mo Ku and have imprisoned us for more than 50 years. We can let bygones be bygones. If you don't let us go now, when Emperor Mo Ku arrives, you will all die. A black-robed man said coldly. Marquis Yin, this is the group. His Majesty said that you can deal with them. Lu Gang said solemnly. Chapter 952. After saying that, Lu Gang left the heavenly prison, leaving Yin Wuti alone. Marquis Yin? Yin Xiuyu? You're not dead yet? A black-robed man asked in surprise. How's that possible? Yin Xiuyu, quickly take us away. I'll fulfill my promise to you in the future. As long as you find Emperor Moku, he'll give you everything. Yin Xiuyu, do you still remember the taste of the bone-melting poison powder? It's only 100 years. You should remember that once 100 years is up, you'll once again experience the feeling of begging for death. Quickly take us out. Everyone shouted. Yin Wudi held the hilt of the heaven-mending sword in his hand. His entire body seemed to be trembling. A wave of killing intent filled the heavenly prison. The harvest of 10,000 years. Everyone was constantly absorbing and fusing these countless memories and comprehensions. At the same time, spirit stones were madly provided to everyone. In a volcano near Yinjing, Jin Dayu sat cross-legged in the depths of the magma with a huge bell in front of him. Clang! The huge bell trembled slightly, and the magma in the entire volcano boiled. What a powerful force! The power of my birth charts has increased by a lot this time. Mohina Dojin? If it's still the Mohina Dojin I fought back then, I can crush you with one hand now, Jin Dayu said excitedly. In front of him, the patterns on the huge bell became clearer. The Celestial Gate? Back then, when the Celestial Gate opened, even a saint would be killed. Unfortunately, you're far inferior to the Celestial Gate. You're not the only Celestial Gate. However, one day, I'll let you reach the height of the Celestial Gate. You're the first Celestial Gate. I named you the Divine Emperor Bell in the name of my ancestor, Jin Dayu said solemnly. Clang! The huge bell trembled violently, and the entire sea of magma seemed to be churning. Outside Yinjing, in the east, there was an inland sea. Countless cultivators had been moved away from all directions. On the shore of the sea, Yin Chuan stood on a reef with his mouth open to the sky. In the sky, rolling tribulation clouds churned endlessly. In the tribulation clouds, lightning-like dragons were constantly churning. However, at this moment, the churning dragons seemed to have a look of fear on their faces. A huge force in Yin Chuan's mouth was crazily pulling the tribulation clouds in the sky. Not far away stood Purplish and Meow Meow. Meow, he's going to devour the tribulation clouds again. Yin Chuan had reached the upper void stage so quickly. What a freak! Meow Meow exclaimed. ZZ smiled and said, Aren't you the same? Don't go transcend the tribulation. Many people will be deceived by you. Meow, I'm gifted. How can I be the same as Yin Chuan? Meow Meow cried. 69 heavenly tribulations. Yin Chuan has also ascended to the emptiness realm. ZZ's eyes flashed with a hint of happiness. Rumble, layers of tribulation clouds were quickly swallowed by Yin Chuan. Within the 6 and 9 heavenly tribulation, the countless lightning dragons that were originally there were now helplessly swallowed into Yin Chuan's stomach. Rumble, the tribulation clouds were completely absorbed by Yin Chuan. The sky was cloudless in an instant, as if the tribulation didn't happen at all. Meow, let's go. Meow shouted. Wait. Purple shook its head. In the distance, Yin Chuan sat cross-legged. He turned his hand, and a large number of spiritual stones suddenly appeared around him. Rumble. In the spiritual stones, rolling energy quickly flowed into Yin Chuan's body. Yin Chuan's cultivation was still skyrocketing. Whoosh. Chapter 953. With a gentle breeze, a large number of spirit stones that had their heaven and earth origin energy sucked away were reduced to dust and scattered with the wind. Meow, meow, my spirit stones. What a waste. What a wastrel. Meow cried out in pity. ZZ smiled and rubbed Meow's head. After 10 spirit stone mountains were extracted, Yin Chuan finally stopped. Third level upper void stage. Yin Chuan slowly opened his eyes and looked at the vast sea in front of him. He exhaled softly. Yin Chuan could continue to rise to the next level, but Yin Chuan did not. It was enough for him to reach the third level of the upper void stage. The remaining birth chart power would have to be used to strengthen his current cultivation base. Yin Chuan did not get up. Instead, he looked at the thundercloud in the sky above his Shun Ting meridian. As soon as the thundercloud absorbed the heavenly tribulation, it changed slightly. A faint red color appeared on the cloud. The fourth level of the heaven-devouring Tao scripture. Yin Chuan was overjoyed. The third level of the heaven-devouring Tao scripture, spring lightning, myriad creation. The fourth level? So what? Yin Chuan stood up and looked at ZZ. Vine demon, protect ZZ and meow. Yin Chuan shouted. Swoosh. A large number of vines quickly surrounded ZZ. Meow? What's Yin Chuan going to do? Meow asked curiously. In the distance, Yin Chuan looked at his surroundings. Spring lightning. Hong. As the spring lightning rumbled, everything in the surroundings suddenly grew wildly. For a time, the vegetation grew lush. The spring lightning's ability was still there. Yin Chuan pondered for a moment before thunder rumbled again. Hong. The fourth level of the heaven-devouring Tao scripture, heavenly lightning. A loud noise rang in the air. Without warning, the sky where Yin Chuan was standing became scorching hot. A white light in the shape of a big fire swept out in all directions. Everywhere it passed, mist rose into the sky. Whoosh, whoosh. The steam from the sea rose into the sky. The earth was steaming, and the terrifying heat instantly swept through the area. Within 10,000 miles, all the plants and trees on the land had withered, and all the water had dried up. The earth had dried up, and in an instant, the earth had cracked in all directions. The earth and rocks had turned into sand, and the land had turned red for 10,000 miles. The vast sea was instantly sucked dry. Water vapor soared into the sky, and the seabed was completely exposed. Moreover, countless dry cracks appeared on the seabed, and it was completely desertified. Countless fish were struggling and jumping in the desert. The sea had turned into a desert in the blink of an eye. Thousands of miles of land, extremely dry and withered. Meow, meow, what's going on? Meow suddenly cried out. ZZ was slightly stunned. A glint flashed across Yin Chuan's eyes. Xiaolei? With a single shout from Xiaolei, 10,000 li of land will be scarlet? Yin Chuan was surprised. Yin Chuan looked at the rolling dark clouds in the sky, and his eyes narrowed. Hong! Another loud noise came from the thundercloud in the blue sky. Crash! A huge rainstorm poured down like a waterfall from the sky. In the blink of an eye, the dry land was washed away by a large amount of rain. Soon, Yin Chuan was submerged in a huge flood. The torrential flood was like a flood dragon, wreaking havoc in all directions. The land was submerged. Although it was still flowing towards the original sea, Yin Chuan was not in the mood to care about it at this moment. Spring lightning, all things grow. Xiaolei, chaos appear. If it was someone else, it would not be useful. However, Yin Chuan did not think so. Xiaolei, chaos? This was not just a method, but a Tao of heaven and earth. It could let Yin Chuan understand the truth of heaven and earth. Chapter 954. A few months later, east of Yin capital, in a mountain forest, thunderclouds churned in the sky. Huoguang's body was shrouded in bloodlust as he withstood bolts after bolts of lightning. In the end, he punched the sky and sent a blood-red energy fist toward the tribulation clouds. Boom! The tribulation clouds shattered with a loud bang. Huoguang took a deep breath and stood on top of a giant rock. He closed his eyes and sensed the breakthrough in his cultivation. Yin Chuan, Feng Yinyang, and Lu Jin looked at Huoguang, who was not far away. Huoguang has reached the ethereal realm. Lu Jin exclaimed. Who would have thought that in less than 100 years, Huoguang would actually be able to advance from immortal to the emptiness realm? Huoguang's 200 doppelgangers have been on the battlefield for the past 50 years. That's equivalent to 10,000 years of killing. What a terrifying achievement. Feng Yinyang shook his head and exclaimed, You're not bad yourself. I remember that you've been fighting with Feng Shui masters in the immortal realm. Yin Chuan said with a smile, I can only say that I've barely reached my master's level. I'm still slightly lacking compared to those immortal Feng Shui masters. Feng Yinyang said humbly, Immortal? Lu Jin, do you know how to become an immortal? Yin Chuan asked. Lu Jin thought for a moment and said, Jin Dayu once told me. Oh, The ninth level of the upper void realm allows one to undergo the heavenly tribulation and become an immortal. There are 12 levels in the upper void realm. The ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th levels allow one to undergo the heavenly tribulation. The higher the cultivation, the stronger the immortal. There are 4 types of immortals: heaven, earth profound, and yellow. Heaven, earth profound, and yellow. Yellow is also called human, and it's the weakest. Lu Jin explained. Yin Chuan nodded. Yin Chuan added, the reason Bai Tian didn't quickly undergo the heavenly tribulation and ascend after he recovered his cultivation base from his previous life was because he was only at the 9th level of the upper void realm at that time. He wasn't satisfied with his current cultivation base. If he wanted to become an immortal, he would have to undergo the heavenly tribulation. There aren't many powerhouses in the mortal realm Your Majesty, what's Bai Tian's current cultivation base? 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. He should be at the 10th level of the upper void stage. He should still be a little bit away from the 11th level. At this moment, Dezhun's cultivation base should be the highest. Your Majesty, when will we enter the heavenly mystery dreamland again? Feng Yinyang asked expectantly. Yin Chuan shook his head and said, let's properly comprehend what we've learned in the past few years. The heavenly mystery dreamland isn't omnipotent. It can create a group of powerhouses, but it can't create the strongest. Some strengths need to be accumulated over time. Moreover, if there are too many clones, they'll have different emotions and conflict with each other. What you need to do now is to constantly eliminate these conflicting emotions. Yes, everyone nodded. At the peak of a mountain in the northern divine continent, a group of white-haired old men looked up at the stars in the sky. They seemed to be calculating something with their hands. A white-robed woman stood at the side. She was the woman who looked very much like Yin Chuan's wife in his previous life, Zhenro. She was the heavenly lady of the archaic mysteries sect. Everyone looked up at the sky. A white-haired old man frowned and said, the heavens are dead, and the heavenly Tao has collapsed. Our heavenly mystery art can only calculate a little now. Sigh. Another white-haired old man said worriedly, the collapse of the nether realm is actually the nether realm of the sealed world merging with the nether realm of the celestial realm. However, from this moment onward, the new life of the sealed world will be impure. Chapter 955. Heavenly Lady, you came from the celestial world. How was the celestial world now? An elder looked at the heavenly lady. The heavenly lady took a deep breath and said solemnly, the factions of the celestial world have finally risen to the top after fighting each other. Oh, how are these factions compared to before the great ancient calamity? An elder asked excitedly. Soon, the situation is about to take shape. The heavenly lady took a deep breath and said. The elders clenched their fists in excitement. After the great ancient calamity, the world was in a state of desolation. Now, things are finally looking up. Goddess Jichin sealed the 5 realms back then with the greatest purpose of ensuring the purity of the ancient divine souls and bloodlines. This is the last sealed realm. The netherworld has been destroyed. If we don't act now, Goddess Jichin's plan will be useless. Everyone, I propose that the God creation plan begin now. Everyone fell silent for a while, then nodded. God creation plan? Let's begin. I have information on all the outstanding people in the world. Inform them to come to the archaic Arcanum sect and accept the gift. An elder said with a serious expression. Yes. Everyone answered. Great Jin Empire, Yin Capital, Upper Study Room. A group of ministers stood in front of the study table. Yin Chuan had returned and was looking at the different memorials. There were the secret reports from Lu Gang and the endless information collected by Meng Wenruo. North Divine Continent, Zhu, Yao Tianshang, the Yao race can also establish a fate dynasty? Yin Chuan frowned as he looked at one of the memorials. Meng Wenruo stepped forward. Your Majesty, it has been confirmed that Zhu was the strongest person in the world 30,000 years ago. However, he was a Yao in his previous life. In this life, Zhu shed his Yao body and turned into a human. He established a fate dynasty with a human body. In this life, Yao Tianshang is still a Yao. Moreover, he is imitating the great Zhun Empire. It is called the Yao Imperial Empire. Meng Wenruo explained. Yao race. Imperial Empire? Your Majesty, the Lushan Academy of the North Divine Continent. After submitting to the Yao Imperial Empire, Zhu took all the Fate Dynasty and formed it. Meng Wenruo explained. Lushan Academy is gone too? Yin Chuan pondered for a while. Yes, of the 4 great academies in the world, the Yushan Academy has submitted to the Dayu Celestial Empire, while the Lushan Academy has submitted to the Yao Imperial Empire. The only ones left are the Julu Academy and the Confucius Academy. Perhaps your Majesty has heard of the Confucius Academy. The dean of the Confucius Academy is your Majesty's grandfather, Kong Daoqiu. Meng Wenruo explained. Kong Daoqiu? Grandpa? Huh. Yin Chuan sneered. Yin Chuan didn't have a good impression of Kong Daoqiu. Otherwise, when Kong Mok forced Kong Su to her death, why didn't Kong Daoqiu stop him? Yin Chuan did not believe that Kong Daoqiu did not have the ability to do so. While everyone was discussing, Lu Jin's voice came from outside the hall. Your Majesty, Yin Wudi requests an audience. Lu Jin's voice sounded. Yin Wudi? The expressions of the ministers changed. Your Majesty, we will take our leave. Meng Wenruo said. Yin Chuan nodded. The ministers slowly left, leaving only Yin Chuan in the study. Let him in, Yin Chuan shouted. Yes. Soon, Yin Wudi stepped into the study. Yin Wudi was silent at this moment. Yin Chuan watched as Yin Wudi walked over until Yin Wudi was right in front of him. Uncle Chuan, your nephew was rash that day. Yin Wudi's voice was laced with guilt. Patting Yin Wudi's shoulder, Yin Chuan smiled faintly and said, Rash? I can understand how you feel. Let bygones be bygones. Although it's a pity for Yin Xiuyu, he still has you. Having you as his son was his greatest pride. You being able to live a good life was what he wanted to see before he died. Yin Wudi's eyes flashed with sadness. What do you plan to do next? Yin Chuan asked. Yin Wudi took a deep breath and was silent for a moment before he said, Your nephew promised to come back and help Uncle Chuan once I subdued the Dugu family. My father also hoped for this. If Uncle Chuan doesn't mind. Ha 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 ha. I can't ask for more. Tell me, what do you want to do? Yin Chuan was in a good mood. This was the first time that Yin Chuan had let someone else choose an official. From this, it could be seen that Yin Chuan was very satisfied with this nephew of his. Yin Wudi naturally saw it too. At the same time, his eyes flashed with emotion. Uncle Chuan, I don't like politics. I like fighting more. I don't ask for fame. I just want to help Uncle Chuan. Yin Wudi said after some thought. Yin Wudi had been thinking about it before. However, Yin Wudi couldn't find a suitable position as an official in Dijon. He could only tell Yin Chuan his wish and let him make the decision. Oh, Yin Chuan was silent for a while. After a while, Yin Chuan spoke again. Wudi, I have a position here. It's a department that I've been thinking about for a long time. I wonder if you can do it? Please speak, Uncle Chuan. I want to set up a department of super assassins hidden under the facade of Dijon. It will clean up everything that can't be handled openly. It will only be responsible to me. I want everyone in this department to be my strongest weapon. Everything will be done cleanly and efficiently. For the sake of Dijon, we'll patch up all the loopholes. Yin Chuan took a deep breath and said. Yin Wudi's eyes lit up. The only bad thing about this department is that it can't be exposed to the light. Yin Chuan said solemnly. I want to try. Yin Wudi said with a hint of joy. Good. Since that's the case, I'll leave it to you. I'll name it Heaven Mending Pavilion. You'll be the pavilion master of Heaven Mending Pavilion. You'll do things in the dark. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Yes. Invincible Territories Dugu family will do well in Heaven Mending Pavilion. Also, from today onwards, there will be no Yin Wudi in this world. Your Majesty, please call me Invincible Dugu. Yin Wudi said solemnly. Your Majesty? Invincible Dugu? When he heard Yin Wudi call himself Invincible Dugu, Yin Chuan frowned and sighed. Wudi, You don't have to be like this. Invincible Dugu shook his head. Since I've entered Great Jun, I must understand that even I can't break the rules. Looking at the stubborn Invincible Dugu, Yin Chuan was silent for a while. In the end, he nodded. From today onwards, I confer Invincible Dugu as the Pavilion Master of Great Jun's Heaven Mending Pavilion. You'll be in charge of Heaven Mending Pavilion. You'll only be responsible to me, Yin Chuan said solemnly. Boom! In the outside world, Great Jun's Sea of Providence churned. A yellow light shot down from the roof and entered Invincible Dugu's body. Your subject, Invincible Dugu, will not disappoint your majesty. Invincible Dugu bowed respectfully. Outside the study room, all of Great Jun's ministers looked up at the sky. Clearly, the group that went out earlier knew who had been conferred a title. However, no one knew what position Invincible Dugu had been given. Chapter 956. Whoosh. The sky was gloomy, and heavy rain kept falling. In the evening, under the heavy rain, everything seemed unusually quiet. Outside the borders of the Great Jun Empire, a lesser sect, the Five Elements Sect. Five Elements Sect, the main hall of the sect. A group of cultivators was sitting in the main hall, led by a red-robed elder. The group frowned at each other. Sect Master, Emperor Mo Ku asked us to investigate the situation of the Great Jun Empire. But how are we going to investigate it now? The Great Jun Empire is getting stronger and stronger. That's right, Sect Master. The Great Jun Empire now has an imperial examination every year. More and more experts and wise people from the East Divine Continent have entered the Great Jin Empire. The original 1,100 cities were empty, but after a few decades, they are getting more and more abundant. Also, Yin Chuan, Yifeng, Huang, Jinyu, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian have disappeared for decades. They suddenly returned, and no one knows where they went. How are we going to report to Emperor Mo Ku? The red-robed sect master's face was gloomy. That's not what I'm most worried about. I'm worried that the people we sent to infiltrate the Great Jin Empire have suddenly disappeared. I don't know if they have been captured. If they're captured, our whereabouts might be exposed. Wang Ke might have been delayed by something. There should be news soon. Even if there is no news, Wang Ke will not betray us. In the main hall, the Five Elements Sect's upper echelons were analyzing the information. The heavy rain outside fell on the stone slabs, making pattering sounds. Five Elements Sect at the foot of the mountain. At this moment, a group of uninvited guests came. A group of 50 people, all dressed in loose black robes. The rain fell on the black robes, sliding to the ground like raincoats. The 50 black-robed people's faces could not be seen clearly. The leader led the group and walked over step by step on the stone slabs. Who is it? Stop. Immediately, a Five Elements Sect disciple jumped out. The leader slashed with the sword in his hand. TSK. The Five Elements Sect's disciple didn't even have time to scream before he was suddenly cut in half and fell onto the stone floor. The rain washed over him, and his blood dyed the surroundings red. The black-robe leader said indifferently, "This is Butian Pavilion's first operation. The Five Elements Sect leave no one alive. Kill them all." "Yes," the group of black-robed men replied. "Xiao." The 50 people instantly charged into the heavy rain and entered the Five Elements Sect. 2 hours later, at the main peak of the Five Elements Sect, at the peak of the Five Elements Mountain, in the square of the Five Elements Palace, dozens of corpses fell to the ground in the plaza. All of them died with one sword strike, dyeing the plaza red. Rumble. The sky was gloomy, and within the dark clouds, there was a desolate sound of thunder. A group of black-robed men waited. After a while, in the Five Elements Hall, a black-robed man in the lead walked out of the hall under the protection of 3 other black-robed men. He walked to the square where the rain was pouring down. "Pavilion Master, the Five Elements Sect has been annihilated." A black-robed man stepped forward and said. The leader of the black-robed men nodded and gently shook his black robe to shake off a large amount of rainwater. Then he stepped forward. The group of black-robed men followed behind him and left the five elements sect in the heavy rain. The heavy rain washed away the blood on the ground. The five elements sect had been annihilated, and not a single person was left alive. Only the footsteps of the group of black-robed men were left. Chapter 9:57. Dajin Empire, Yinjing. Chaodian Palace Plaza. Yin Chuan held an invitation in his hand, followed by a group of officials. A lady in green stood in front of him. Yin Chuan, I have delivered the letter. Please head to the Archaic Arcanum sect on time. The lady in green said, I remember you. When you first met the Heavenly Lady, you were beside her. Are you her servant? Yin Chuan frowned and asked. The lady in green nodded and said, I was fortunate enough to be chosen by the Heavenly Lady. Indeed, I have received the invitation from the Archaic Arcanum sect. You may return to report. Yin Chuan nodded. The lady in green nodded and was about to leave. Wait, Yin Chuan suddenly said. The lady in green asked curiously. There's one more thing I would like to ask. If it is convenient, please tell me. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Oh, the lady in green asked curiously. The Heavenly Lady, the Holy Lady of the Archaic Arcanum sect. I would like to know what the Heavenly Lady's real name is. Yin Chuan asked seriously. After all, the Heavenly Lady and Zhenro were too similar. The Heavenly Lady was even born after Zhenro's death. Even if the Heavenly Lady said that she had regained her memories of her previous life and that she was not Zhenro, Yin Chuan did not give up. The lady in green smiled and said, If it was before, I would not have said it. But it doesn't matter now. After all, you will know sooner or later. This time, the Heavenly Lady and the sect leader will host it together. Oh, the Heavenly Lady's name is Zhao Afong. And I heard that this is a name given by the heavens and not by humans. The lady in green smiled. As she spoke, the lady in green bowed politely and flew into the sky. Suddenly, she turned into a huge green lawn and flew towards the north. Zhao Afong, Jiulu Academy, Meng Lingtian, Yu-E, and Meng Rongrong sent off a green lawn. Ancestor, the Archaic Arcanum sect, the God creation plan? Does the Archaic Arcanum sect really have such power? Yu-E frowned. God creation plan? Meng Lingtian shook his head with disdain. Could it be fake? Meng Rongrong was puzzled. Meng Lingtian shook his head and said, The Archaic Mysteries sect is right to bemoan the state of the universe and pity the fate of mankind. However, the Archaic Mysteries sect is not as powerful as the invitation said. The Celestial Arcanum sect only has a small foundation in the immortal world. Later on, they obtained some inheritances from ancient experts and knew a bit about the events that happened before the Great Ancient Calamity. Tens of thousands of years ago, they moved some of their disciples into this sealed world. And now, they're even more arrogant and want to create a god? I see. He nodded. There's no need to care about this god-making plan. If the Archaic Mysteries sect was truly powerful, why would they need to select the talents of the world? Why couldn't he become a god? My Jiulu Academy's founder, Invincible East, has already established a foundation in the immortal world. My Jiulu Academy has its own online inheritance. Even if I participate in this god creation plan, it's useless. Meng Lingtian shook his head. Yes, the two of them nodded. Great Buddha Imperial Dynasty. Kong Mok led his ministers to look at the Tianji sect's emissary. God creation plan? Kong Mok frowned as he looked at the invitation. I have already delivered the letter. If you wish to participate, please arrive on time. The emissary said solemnly. With that, the emissary left. Kong Mok was left behind, frowning as he looked at the invitation. At this moment, a golden light flashed. A middle-aged man in a white, scholarly robe landed in front of Kong Mok. The man's long hair was combed back, and he held a purple bamboo scroll in his hand. On the scroll were the words spring and autumn. Although he was dressed in scholarly robes, he exuded an uncontrollable evil aura. Righteous and evil aura blended together, peaceful and violent. It looked very contradictory. Kong Daoqiu, what do you think? Kong Mok asked in a low voice. The scholarly robed man was the dean of the Confucius Lu Academy, Yin Chuan's grandfather, Kong Daoqiu. Kong Daoqiu watched the emissary leave, his eyes narrowing. Archaic Mysteries sect? They have a foundation in the immortal world. If that's the case, let's do our best to bring them into the great Buddha imperial dynasty. Kong Daoqiu said lightly. Kong Mok nodded. I'll go with you then. Kong Daoqiu said solemnly. All right, Kong Mok nodded. Arcane sects sacred ground. Meng Hongying, Rin Shu, and a man in a Taoist robe and a purple Taoist crown flew towards the north. The man with the purple Taoist crown was the leader of the three. The man looked like he was in his 50s, and he exuded a ferocious aura with every movement. He stood on a purple gourd that was as tall as a person. He stood on the purple gourd alone, and two purple lights shot out from his hands to carry Meng Hongying and Rin Shu. Even though the purple gourd was a flying weapon, the man did not want the two of them to ride it together. Grandpa, is the invitation from the arcane sect real? Meng Hongying asked curiously. The man nodded. Since the arcane sect is willing to pay, there's no reason not to take it. Sacred leader, didn't the invitation say it clearly? With my status, I'm not qualified at all. What's the point of me going? Rin Shu smiled bitterly. You can't go, but Hongying can. You have the ability to help Hongying, the man said in a deep voice. But, sacred leader, with my insignificant skills, how can I? Rin Shu was still trying to evade. The man turned his head, and his eyes turned cold as he shot a murderous aura at Rin Shu. Rin Shu immediately stopped talking. If I want you to go, you have to go. If I say you're useful, then you're useful. Meng Sansheng said in a deep voice. All right, I'll try my best. Rin Shu smiled bitterly. Grandpa, I'll go. You're not going? Meng Hongying asked in surprise. Meng Sansheng showed a hint of disdain. The arcane sect's God creation? I don't care about it, but it'll be best if you can succeed. Yes. Meng Hongying nodded. Dajiao's sacred ground. Mohina Dojin looked at the invitation and narrowed his eyes. Father, God creation? Why would the arcane sect create a god? Yang Zigu was puzzled. Mohina Dojin took a deep breath and said, Zhijiu, this time, I'll go with you and take the first place. Yes. Yang Zigu nodded blankly. Great Jin Empire, Yin capital. Yan Chuan dealt with the state affairs and gave some instructions. Finally, he bid farewell to ZZ. I'll be back as soon as possible. When I'm not around, Great Jun will depend on you. Yin Chuan said with certainty. ZZ nodded. With that, Yin Chuan led Feng Yinyang, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin into the sky. The four of them were all in the emptiness realm and flew toward the arcane sect in the north. All the heroes of the world gathered at the arcane sect. Chapter 958. North Divine Continent. Yin Chuan by Di Tian, Feng Yinyang, and Lu Jin were flying through the air. In the air. Your Majesty, aren't we a little early? Lu Jin asked after some thought. Yes, we are early because we have other things to do. Yin Chuan nodded. Oh, Feng Yinyang, you tell them. Yin Chuan looked at Feng Yinyang. Flying in the air, Feng Yinyang nodded and frowned. The North Divine Continent originally had three unique factions: the Archaic Mysteries sect, the Lushan Academy, and the Feng Shui Northern sect. We are going to the Feng Shui Northern sect. Feng Yinyang explained. Lu Jin's expression changed. I remember seeing a rough map. The Feng Shui Northern sect is close to the Lushan Academy. The Lushan Academy was annexed by the Goblin Imperial Dynasty. Your Majesty, are you worried that the Goblin Imperial Dynasty has designs on the Feng Shui Northern sect? Yin Chuan nodded. Although the Feng Shui Northern sect is strong, we have to be careful. Feng Yinyang continued. The Feng Shui Northern sect and my Feng Shui Southern sect are of the same origin. This time, we're going to see if we can merge them. Merge? With Mr.'s Feng Shui skills, he should be close to your master's. There is a high chance. Lu Jin said with a smile. Feng Yinyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. No, this time, the chances are very small. We might even be annexed by the other party. Oh, my branch was split in half a long time ago, into the north and south sections. Even though the two sects are in the north and south, the masters of the two sects are constantly thinking about annexing the other sect and making the other sect their own. Feng Yinyang said in a deep voice. Then why have there been so few battles in the past tens of thousands of years? Lu Jin asked. Because there is no point in fighting. In our lineage, only the sect leader has the true ability to control feng shui. The disciples of the sect are just servants. Although they know a lot about feng shui, compared to the sect leader, they know too little. As long as the sect leader is still around, the sect is still around. So, there is no point in fighting between the two sects. Feng Yinyang said. Oh, the sect master of the North faction is a powerful figure. When my master was still alive, he told me not to provoke him. His feng shui is so strong that even my master is ashamed of his inferiority. Feng Yinyang was worried. Ah, Lu Jin said in surprise. Our main goal this time is to test the feng shui northern sect and wait for the right opportunity. The three of us are here to protect Feng Yinyang. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Lu Jin nodded. How should I address the northern sect leader? Lu Jin asked. His surname is Mu, and his name is Ghostfire. Feng Yinyang said. Mu's Ghostfire? Lu Jin muttered the strange name. 20 days later, the northern divine continent was a place where heaven, earth, yuan qi gathered. There were countless mountain ranges stacked on top of each other. If a knowledgeable person were to see this, they would definitely be astonished. This was because every single mountain range was actually a dragon vein. With tens of thousands of dragon veins gathered, the heaven-earth yuan qi here was 100 times more abundant than anywhere else. There were also countless cities in the area, and black-robed figures roamed the area. In one of the cities in the periphery, 5 black-robed figures stood on top of a city tower, looking into the distance. The southern sect has been destroyed. Junior brothers, did you find anything on your trip to the south? The leader of the black-robed figures asked with a frown. No, there is no news of Li Kanglin. From the looks of it, Li Kanglin has been killed. The Great Nightmare Heaven Dynasty also has feng shui masters, and we have fought with them before. However, compared to the sect leader, they are far inferior, another black-robed figure said. Chapter 959. Feng Shui Masters? It doesn't matter if they're strong or not. What the sect leader wants to know is who obtained Li Kanglin's inheritance, the leader said. We've already identified 10 Feng Shui Masters who are still alive. We've sent people to investigate. The leader was silent for a moment before he said, Don't let any of them go. The sect leader values the inheritance of the southern sect. Find these people as soon as possible. Also, Yao Qianshang has taken over Lushan Academy and is currently stationed there. He's obviously planning to make a move against the northern sect. Zhu, Yao Qianshang, the most powerful person in the world 30,000 years ago. So what? The sect leader's strength is beyond their comprehension. Don't worry, eldest senior brother. Another Feng Shui master said. The leader nodded. While the group of brothers were talking, a rumbling sound came from the south. What's that sound? Eldest senior brother frowned. Rumble. The sound from the south was getting closer and closer. It was as if 10,000 horses were galloping toward the northern sect. Roar, roar, roar. A dragon's roar came from the south, and the earth trembled. Swish, swish. A large number of Feng Shui masters gathered in the northern sect. They stood in a huge square in the south of the northern sect and looked toward the south. Is that the sound of the dragon veins? And there's more than one? Eldest senior brother said. Roar. Finally, after a dragon's roar, the scene in the distance was revealed to the group of Feng Shui masters. It was a huge mountain range. Amid the rumbling sound, the entire mountain range seemed to have come alive and was moving toward the northern sect. 4 figures stood at one end of the mountain range. It was as if they were standing on a dragon's head. The mountain range was rolling toward them. That was not all. Behind this mountain range, there were 99 similar mountain ranges moving with a rumbling sound. Yin Chuan and his group were at the top of the mountain range. Under the control of Feng Yinyang, 100 mountain ranges swept over like a river. Wherever they passed, the earth trembled and soil flew into the sky. 100 dragon veins? A Feng Shui master's expression changed. Riding 100 dragons? What a powerful Feng Shui master. Another northern sect Feng Shui master exclaimed. They don't come with good intentions. Defend. Eldest senior brother's expression changed. About 100 Feng Shui masters lined up in a line. Suddenly, they squatted down and stretched out their right hands. A yellow aura suddenly emerged from their right hands. Everyone thrust their palms into the ground. It was inserted into the soil. Dragon come? Eldest senior brother shouted coldly. Ong, ong. Suddenly, a deafening dragon roar came from behind the Feng Shui masters. Rumble. The earth churned as streaks of yellow light shot out. The yellow light rushed in front of everyone and suddenly broke out of the ground, forming hundreds of yellow dragons that bared their fangs and brandished their claws. The hundreds of yellow dragons were all thousands of feet long, and all of them glared angrily at the south. A fierce and violent aura surged forward. The northern sect was similar to the southern sect in that it was a holy land for Feng Shui cultivators. It had countless dragon veins, and as long as a disciple summoned them, the dragon veins would gather and serve as a weapon for Feng Shui masters. The 100 dragons roared. Under the control of the Feng Shui masters, they angrily rushed towards 100 mountain ranges coming from the south. Boom! The 100 mountain ranges came to a sudden stop. Ong! Chapter 960. Above the 100 mountain ranges, a yellow light emerged from each of them. They were all in the shape of a dragon's head, confronting the 100 yellow dragons opposite them. Roar! 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 The dragons roared, and no one was willing to give in. Who are you? The eldest senior brother's face darkened as he shouted. On the peak of the leading mountain, Yin Chuan, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian did not say anything. At this moment, Yin Chuan had completely handed the situation over to Feng Yinyang. Feng Yinyang took a step forward and said in a deep voice, Feng Yinyang of the South Sect requests to fight the Northern Sect, the ghost fire of the grave. Feng Yinyang shouted coldly. The 100 yellow dragons fell silent and no longer rampaged. South Sect? Wasn't the South Sect destroyed? A Feng Shui master muttered. However, the expression of the eldest senior brother changed. You are from the South Sect? The eldest senior brother asked solemnly. The disciples of the Northern Sect knew very little about the Ghost Valley, but it did not mean that they knew nothing. One person representing a sect was very common in Feng Shui cultivation. Go and inform the ghost fire of the grave. Feng Yinyang said in a deep voice. The Feng Shui masters looked at each other. Finally, they looked at the eldest senior brother. The eldest senior brother looked at Feng Yinyang with uncertain eyes. Do you think you can meet the sect master just because you want to? South Sect? You said that you represent the South Sect. What proof do you have? The eldest senior brother said with a serious expression. Feng Yinyang slowly jumped down the mountain. He walked forward step by step. How do you want to prove it? Feng Yinyang said calmly. Controlling 100 dragons does not prove that you are the sect master of the South Sect. If you want to meet the sect master of the Northern Sect, show me your ability. The eldest senior brother shouted. Feng Yinyang smiled and nodded. He looked up at the 100 yellow dragons in front of the 100 Feng Shui masters and smiled. He reached out and grabbed at the void. One of the dragon veins behind him suddenly shook. Then, an illusory yellow dragon broke out of its body and collided with the yellow dragon opposite it. Boom! When the two dragons collided, smoke and dust filled the air. Amidst the smog, the two dragon heads drew the endless power of the earth from the ground. As they stepped on the ground, their heads faced each other as they collided. Feng Yinyang waved his hand again. a yellow dragon rushed out from each of the 100 mountain ranges that came under the command of the Yin-Yang Imperial Messenger. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon's head collided with the dragon's head, and the huge collision caused the surrounding fog to become even denser. Roar! The 100 yellow dragons of the southern sect and the 100 yellow dragons of the northern sect collided and roared at each other. Neither side was willing to back down. Feng Yinyang, one man against 100 Feng Shui masters. The essence of the earth was extracted by the 200 yellow dragons, causing the soil to deteriorate and haze to fill the sky. Eldest senior brother's expression changed. The battle immediately attracted countless disciples of the northern sect of Feng Shui, and a large number of Feng Shui masters rushed over from the north. At the same time, the Feng Shui masters quickly controlled the dragon veins to join the battle from all directions. Feng Yinyang, alone, wanted to fight the entire northern sect of Feng Shui. The grand battle of magical powers immediately caused the surrounding cultivators to reveal astonished expressions. Someone actually dared to provoke the northern sect of Feng Shui. Did he want to die? Not far from the northern sect of Feng Shui, in a large hall of the Lushan Academy, Yao Tianshang was discussing something with a group of great demons. Reporting, Demon Emperor, there's a change in the northern sect of Feng Shui. A great demon rushed into the hall. Yao Tianshang was puzzled. A Feng Shui master challenged the northern sect of Feng Shui, the great demon said. Oh, a Feng Shui master challenged the northern sect of Feng Shui? Haha, interesting. Who did he challenge? Yao Tianshang laughed curiously. No, he didn't challenge anyone. He challenged the northern sect of Feng Shui. The great demon immediately corrected him. The great demons in the hall didn't understand. No, I watched from afar. That person didn't challenge anyone. He challenged the entire northern sect of Feng Shui. He challenged the entire northern sect of Feng Shui. He challenged all the Feng Shui masters of the northern sect. He defeated 10,000 Feng Shui masters by himself. The great demon explained. Yao Tianshang, all the great demons. Chapter 961. No, I saw from afar. That person wasn't challenging anyone. He was challenging the entire Feng Shui northern sect, the entire northern sect. He was challenging all the Feng Shui masters in the northern sect. 1 against 10,000. The great demon explained. Yao Tianshang, all the great demons. The hall immediately fell into silence. Bastard! How is that possible? Yao Tianshang immediately scolded. It's true. They've really started fighting. That Feng Shui master came with 100 dragon veins. He's fighting 100 Feng Shui masters alone, but 100 Feng Shui masters are still no match for him. More and more Feng Shui masters from the northern sect are joining the battle. The great demon immediately swore. Demon Emperor, it looks like it's true. The person who came is using Feng Shui to fight Feng Shui. And from the looks of it, this person's Feng Shui skills are extremely powerful. A great demon said with a frown. The two strongest Feng Shui masters in the world, Li Kanglin and Ghostfire. We don't know if Li Kanglin is dead or alive. Who is it? Another person asked worriedly. Demon Emperor, you stayed here to reclaim the willow, the wisps, but the northern sect's Feng Shui is too powerful. Now this Feng Shui master is provoking the northern sect. Could he have the same goal as you? A great demon frowned. Yao Tianshang's eyes narrowed as he said, let's go and take a look. Also, Bat King, gather all the tribes near you. Bats are immune to Feng Shui to a certain extent, just in case something happens. Yes, a great demon answered immediately. Go. Taking a step forward, Yao Tianshang led a group of great Yao and flew out of the main hall, heading towards the Feng Shui northern sect. Feng Shui northern sect south. More and more Feng Shui masters joined the fray. Arg, arg, arg. More and more dragon veins were extracted, and they exploded out with immense Feng Shui power. Right now, 2,000 Northern Sect yellow dragons were fighting against Feng Yinyang. Eldest senior brother's expression was extremely ugly. 2,000 against 100? Feng Yinyang did not have many yellow dragons. The Northern Sect had mobilized so many dragon veins. How could they not win? If it was a few decades ago, Feng Yinyang would not have been able to do so. However, in the past 50 years, Feng Yinyang had followed Yin Chuan into the heavenly secret realm. His birth chart power had increased by more than 10,000 years. Moreover, in the celestial realm, Feng Yinyang had fought with countless Feng Shui masters. Therefore, he quickly comprehended Li Kanglin's legacy. Right now, he was closing in on Li Kanglin. Aside from the sect masters, everyone else in the two Feng Shui sacred grounds was just a servant. Master versus servant. So what if you have more people? Now that Feng Yinyang's foundation has taken shape and his cultivation has reached the upper void realm, he is not afraid of the Northern Sect's disciples at all. Feng Yinyang had nothing to fear in terms of Feng Shui as long as it was not the will-o'-the-wisp himself. Continue. Gather more dragon veins for me. I want to tear his 100 dragon veins to pieces. Eldest senior brother shouted angrily. At this moment, eldest senior brother represented the Northern Sect. This was no longer a matter of winning or losing. It was a matter of dignity. He had to defeat Feng Yinyang no matter what. Rumble. As the earth churned, tens of thousands of dragons roared and shook the sky. The entire Northern Sect knew that something big had happened. The dragon veins continued to surge. 2,000, 3,000 for 1,000. Dragon veins gathered one after another like a surging river, wanting to completely destroy the Yin-Yang bestowment. Great dragon vein expansion. Feng Yinyang shouted softly. A huge compass appeared under his feet. Chapter 962. On the compass. The 100 yellow dragons of Feng, Yin, and Yang that were struggling bitterly suddenly trembled. Whoosh! 1 turned into 2, 2 turned into 4, 4 turned into 8, 8 turned into 16. The 100 yellow dragons of the envoys of Yin and Yang continued to increase in number. From 100 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 5,000, and from 10,000 to 10,000. It was rapidly increasing in number. Of course, every time the number doubled, the yellow dragons became fainter. Feng Shui evolution? Are you trying to destroy these 100 dragon veins? The eldest senior brother exclaimed. Not just destroy. How can there be so many changes? This is impossible. The eldest senior brother exclaimed. Boom! Boom! More and more of the Northern Sect's dragon veins collided with the dragon veins that had been strengthened by the power of Yin and Yang. The essence of the earth was constantly being extracted from both sides. The further they went, the worse the earth became. Sand rose into the sky, and haze wreaked havoc. Rumble. Feng Yinyang's ability to fight 10,000 enemies alone was not an exaggeration. In the haze, 10,000 dragons fought. They fought fiercely, but even in such an intense battle, the will-o'-the-wisp did not appear. The mountain peak that Yin Chuan, Bai Di Tian, and Lu Jin were standing on had been completely drained of its essence. It had turned into a pile of dust, and in the midst of the battle, it had formed a vast haze that soared into the sky. Yin Chuan, Bai Di Tian, and Lu Jin flew into the sky and stood in midair to watch the battle. But as they watched, the three of them suddenly raised their eyebrows and turned their heads. Not far from the three of them, there were 3 other figures standing there. Meng Hongying, Rin Shu, and Meng Sansheng. When Meng Hongying saw Yin Chuan, she was first happy, then a trace of worry appeared on her face. Rin Shu's eyes shone brightly as he looked at Yin Chuan with surprise and curiosity. That was because Rin Shu had seen Yin Chuan before. Yin Chuan's cultivation had risen too quickly. How many years had it been? The leader of the 3 was Meng Sansheng. At this moment, Meng Sansheng was carrying a huge purple gourd on his back. His forehead was slightly protruding, and he was wearing a purple crown and a purple robe. He stood in front of the 2 people and looked at Yin Chuan and the others with a serious expression. Meng Sansheng, the current leader of the divine sect, Sacred Grounds, the Empress' grandfather, Bai Ditian immediately transmitted to Yin Chuan. Meng Sansheng. Yin Chuan raised his eyebrows. Yin Chuan naturally wouldn't underestimate the lord of a holy land. Meng Sansheng glanced at the 10,000 dragon battle before turning to look at Yin Chuan's group. Grandpa, this is ZZ's husband, Yin Chuan of the Great Zhun Empire, Meng Hongying explained. Meng Sansheng looked at Yin Chuan. Greetings, divine sect, holy master, Yin Chuan said solemnly. Although he didn't have a good impression of the divine sect's sacred grounds, he was still ZZ's grandfather. Yin Chuan still gave him enough respect. Meng Sansheng looked at Yin Chuan and smiled faintly before ignoring him. It was as if he didn't care about Yin Chuan at all. That look of disdain immediately made Lu Jin's expression change. Yin Chuan waved his hand and stopped Lu Jin's anger. Yin Chuan smiled faintly. Since others didn't care about him, why should he respect them? Moreover, ZZ didn't have any feelings for her grandfather. Then, Yin Chuan looked at Rinshu and Meng Hongying. Rinshu's eyes rolled around, thinking of something. As for Meng Hongying, she gave Yin Chuan an apologetic look. Faced with Meng Hongying's apologetic expression, Yin Chuan smiled slightly, indicating that it was fine. Meng Sansheng didn't care about Yin Chuan and looked at Bai Ditian. Bai Ditian, it's been 8,000 years. We meet again, Meng Sansheng said faintly. Bai Ditian frowned at Meng Sansheng and nodded. I heard that you've submitted to him. Meng Sansheng smiled. Bai Ditian frowned and said, Meng Sansheng, if you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. It's been 8,000 years. You just reincarnated, right? Do you remember that you issued a challenge to our divine sect sacred grounds 8,000 years ago? Meng Sansheng said faintly. Bai Ditian frowned and said, that's in the past. You didn't come to challenge me, but you ascended with your wife. When your wife ascended, you didn't succeed in your tribulation and reincarnated. You may have forgotten, but I haven't. That challenge letter is still on my table. I know that you've lost 8,000 years of cultivation, but the challenge letter is a challenge. I won't bully you. If you can take one of my punches, I'll let bygones be bygones. Meng Sansheng said in a low voice. Bai Ditian, he seems to be testing you. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Bai Ditian nodded solemnly. Meng Sansheng looked at Yin Chuan suspiciously when he saw Bai Ditian agree with Yin Chuan. However, he quickly looked at Bai Ditian and said, don't worry. It's just a punch. I won't use my treasure. Bai Ditian looked at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan nodded lightly. Meng Sansheng wanted to test Bai Ditian, but Yin Chuan also wanted to see Meng Sansheng's strength. Bai Ditian stepped forward. In the distance, Meng Hongying and Rinshu also retreated. Lu Jin, do you know why Bai Ditian challenged Meng Sansheng back then? Yin Chuan asked in a low voice. Lu Jin shook her head. There's very little information about 8,000 years ago. Bai Ditian was extremely calm and rarely did such a thing. There must be a very important grudge back then. We have to ask Bai Ditian to find out. Yin Chuan nodded and looked at the sky. The corners of Meng Sansheng's mouth curled up into a smile as he punched out. A huge purple fist aura condensed in the sky. Once the fist aura was released, it created a huge storm. This fist aura seemed to have passed through the storm. Bai Ditian's eyes narrowed as he punched out with his fist. When one's strength reached their level, any fancy Dharma techniques would seem insignificant. The white fist aura and the purple fist aura collided. Boom! When the two fists collided, a sharp aura shot out. Once the aura was released, the surrounding storm was destroyed. Boom! Under the huge aura of the fist aura, the endless fog was instantly washed away. The battle between the two upper void realm experts instantly released a huge amount of ferocious energy. Under the powerful aura, many feng shui masters on the ground were swept away. They all hid behind the yellow dragon in horror to resist the aftershock. The 10,000 dragon battle suddenly stopped. And where Yin Chuan was, there was also a strong wind blowing against Yin Chuan and Lu Jin. At this moment, even if the aftershock was strong, Yin Chuan didn't move. Instead, he stared at Meng Sansheng. At this moment, Meng Sansheng's pupils constricted and turned purple. His purple pupils emitted a faint light as he stared at the two-fist auras. No, I technique? Divine power? Meng Sansheng is not only testing Bai Ditian. What is he trying to do? Yin Chuan's face darkened. What kind of technique is this? Yin Chuan frowned as he stared. Chapter 963. What kind of technique is this? Yin Chuan frowned as he stared at it. In the sky, Bai Ditian's expression became even more savage. Meng Sansheng's expression suddenly changed. This was because the power of Bai Ditian's punch was not what he had imagined. Hadn't Bai Ditian not cultivated for 8,000 years? How could it be stronger than 8,000 years ago? Meng Sansheng's fist strength also rose sharply. Under the collision of power, the two powerhouses realized how powerful the other was, and their power increased sharply. Rumble! The air around them exploded, and the shock waves spread further and further. In the forest around the northern sect, countless creatures were curled up on the ground, not daring to get up. Bai Ditian, you're actually not at the 9th level of the upper void stage. I really underestimated you. Meng Sansheng said coldly. Meng Sansheng's fist power increased, but his pupils were still purple. I technique? Yin Chuan stared at Meng Sansheng's pupils. Meng Sansheng's pupils were slowly rotating. An unfathomable power flashed in his eyes. What kind of technique is this? What threat is there to Bai Ditian? Yin Chuan frowned and pondered. Not far away, Meng Hongying retreated again and again, but Ninth Rat's eyes were wide open. This is a technique? Isn't this the legendary Eye of Reincarnation? Ren Rat quickly retreated in horror. As it retreated, Ninth Rat stared at the distant Bai Ditian. Ren Rat said in shock, yes, I understand now. Bai Ditian is a reincarnated person, and he reincarnated with his memories. There must be some remnant samsara law in his life. Sacred Lord, are you trying to replicate all of the samsara law? At this moment, Ninth Rat looked at Meng Sansheng with fear in its eyes. At this moment, Yao Tianshang was leading a group of great demons from the forest far away. Yao Tianshang raised his eyebrows as he watched the two experts fight from afar. Bai Ditian, is that Meng Sansheng? A great demon immediately recognized him. Both of them are at least at the 10th level of the upper void stage. Furthermore, he didn't even use his full strength. Yao Tianshang said with a serious expression. Ah, the group of great demons exclaimed in shock. Upper void stage? Although there were still many upper void stage cultivators in the world, everyone knew that the upper void stage was harder to cultivate as one progressed. Especially from the 9th layer onwards, there were countless difficulties and obstacles. There were even people who were stuck at the 9th layer for their entire lives. But all of them were at least at the 10th level. Rumble. Behind Yao Tianshang, there was a huge commotion in the sky. At the same time, the sky suddenly turned dark, covering the sun. Countless bats flapped their wings and flew over. Whoosh! The infinity bats brought with them gusts of wind. Swish! A black-robed man landed beside Yao Tianshang. Demon Emperor, the experts of my Bat clan are all here. There are 36 million of them. The black-robed man laughed. All right, Bat King, tell them not to act rashly. Yao Tianshang shook his head. Bat King nodded. In the distance, Bai Ditian and Meng Sansheng were locked in a fist fight. Neither of them could do anything to the other. 30 minutes later, Meng Sansheng's eyes returned to normal. It was obvious that he had completely grasped Bai Ditian's reincarnation law. Boom! With a loud bang, their fists were separated by a huge force. Billowing winds swept up in the surroundings. Bai Ditian and Meng Sansheng looked at each other as if there was no victor. All right, that's it. Bai Ditian, you really surprised me. Meng Sansheng smiled faintly. Chapter 964. Bai Ditian narrowed his eyes as he stared at Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng, what are you doing here? Bai Ditian shouted. What I do is none of your business. Remember, it's best if you don't interfere. Meng Sansheng said in a deep voice. This tone made Bai Ditian squint his eyes in displeasure. Bai Ditian, Yin Chuan shouted. Bai Ditian looked at Yin Chuan and walked over. Let's take a look first. Yin Chuan smiled. And Bai Ditian nodded. Meng Sansheng no longer paid any attention to Yin Chuan and the other two. He scanned the surroundings again, and when he saw the bats and Yao Tianshang in the distance, a trace of disdain flashed across his eyes. Grave Willow, the Wisp, I'm here. Why aren't you coming out? Meng Sansheng shouted. With a clear shout, his voice immediately rolled out like thunder. However, the Grave Willow, the Wisp, did not appear. Meng Sansheng narrowed his eyes, and a vicious look appeared in his eyes. Grave Willow, the Wisp, I'm here again. Why aren't you coming out? If you don't come out, I'll raze your northern sect to the ground. Meng Sansheng shouted again. Raze the northern sect to the ground? What arrogance! Both Yin Chuan and Yao Tianshang frowned as they looked at Meng Sansheng. How dare you? This is my Feng Shui northern sect. How dare you? The first senior brother shouted. Roar! A yellow dragon soared into the sky, carrying a ferocious aura as it clawed at Meng Sansheng. When the first senior brother attacked, about 100 Feng Shui masters controlled the yellow dragon to charge at Meng Sansheng as if they wanted to tear him apart. Meng Sansheng smiled disdainfully as the huge gourd on his back flew into the sky. Treasure, please accept, Meng Sansheng said to the gourd solemnly. Xiao Chun shouted, and a strong suction force suddenly came out of the purple gourd's mouth. The suction force headed straight for the yellow dragon. Roar! The yellow dragon struggled as it was sucked towards a gourd. Whoosh! When it reached the edge of the gourd, it seemed to be sucked in by a suction force and was sucked into the gourd. 1, 10, 100 yellow dragons rushed towards the gourd. In the blink of an eye, all of the yellow dragons were sucked into the gourd. Meng Sansheng's mouth twitched as if he wasn't satisfied. The mouth of the gourd was facing the nearly 10,000 yellow dragons below. Ong! The 10,000 dragons cried out as if they were struggling against this suction force. However, under this suction force, they were unable to struggle at all. Even the yellow dragon that Feng Yinyang had summoned was being sucked away crazily. Feng Yinyang reached out to suppress it, but he couldn't suppress it at all. These dragon veins are being pulled towards the purple gourd uncontrollably. More and more. Impossible. Evil Taoist, stop. A Feng Shui master shouted angrily. Meng Sansheng snorted. The huge purple gourd pulled the cursing Feng Shui master towards it. In the blink of an eye, the 100 Feng Shui masters who had attacked Meng Sansheng were all sucked towards the purple gourd. Without exception, all of them were sucked towards the purple gourd. Ah! The Feng Shui master screamed. However, they couldn't stop at all. Rumble! The huge purple gourd sucked in the dragon veins crazily. In the blink of an eye, the 10,000 yellow dragons formed by the dragon veins were sucked into the gourd. It even recruited 100 Feng Shui masters. Yin Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. What kind of Dharma treasure is this? Yin Chuan asked in surprise. The primordial gourd. I've seen it 8,000 years ago, but it wasn't this powerful. Bai Ditian exclaimed. Chapter 965. Primordial Gourd. Yin Chuan frowned. At this moment, Meng Sansheng seemed to be unsatisfied. He pointed the mouth of the gourd at the countless bats behind Yao Tianshang. Rumble! The bats were sucked into the gourd, and the huge suction force couldn't stop them at all. Squeak, squeak, squeak! The bats flapped their wings in fear. Stop! Bat King shouted angrily. He opened his mouth and spat out a white light wave towards Meng Sansheng. Whoosh! The white light wave was sucked into the primordial gourd. While it was sucking in the bats, it suddenly had a suction force on Bat King. Rumble! A huge force pulled on Bat King. Ah! Bat King screamed in fear. Pa! Yao Tianshang grabbed Bat King's leg and pulled him back slowly. With Yao Tianshang's strength, Bat King was able to avoid being sucked in by the purple gourd. Squeak, squeak, squeak! The bats flapped their wings in fear, but they were still sucked into the gourd. Empty. After all the bats entered the purple gourd, The suction force of the purple gourd stopped. Primordial gourd? Countless cultivators in all directions were shocked. Hundreds of feng shui masters, tens of thousands of dragon veins, and tens of millions of bat demons were sucked into the primordial gourd. "Give me back my child!" Bat King screamed in fear. If not for Yao Tianshang's strength, Bat King would have been sucked in as well. How could this gourd be so powerful? Meng Sansheng looked at Bat King coldly. Then he looked at Yao Tianshang. "Move." Meng Sansheng snorted. Yao Tianshang's eyes turned cold, but he didn't seek justice for these bats. Meng Sansheng's strength had exceeded Yao Tianshang's expectations. The primordial gourd could only be absorbed by those in the upper void realm. It seemed that anyone below the upper void realm, be it pure energy, demonic beasts, or humans, could absorb it. But what about after it was absorbed? It sucked in and trapped. Lu Jin asked in surprise. "No." Bai Ditian shook his head. "It's not trapped. Then what is it?" Lu Jin asked in surprise. "Refine it." Bai Ditian took a deep breath. In the distance, Meng Sansheng closed the lid of the purple gourd and gently shook it. After shaking it 3 times, he took off the gourd lid again. The mouth of the gourd was facing Meng Sansheng. A strand of purple qi came out of the gourd and was sucked into Meng Sansheng's nose. The purple qi was refined. Lu Jin asked in surprise. "That's right. That purple gas is the primordial violet qi that was refined from everything that was sucked into the gourd." Bai Ditian explained. "Primordial gourd, primordial violet qi?" Yinchuan was finally moved. How could there be such a treasure in this world? Absorbing all things in the world and returning them to their origin to become primordial violet qi? Yao Tianshang exclaimed in shock from afar. Primordial violet qi has the ability to create. It's the source of heaven and earth's origin energy, and it can create all things in the world. The nearby 9th, Rat exclaimed in surprise. The primordial gourd has never been this strong in the past. Could it be that this primordial gourd is also a growth-type Dharma treasure? Bai Ditian took a deep breath. With this Dharma treasure, no one dared to underestimate Meng Sansheng anymore. Meng Sansheng had also shown that he had the ability to be arrogant. Meng Sansheng looked at Yao Tianshang from afar. He refined 30 million bat demons. Is he warning me not to interfere in what's going to happen next? Yao Tianshang said with a dark expression. Meng Sansheng did not look at the crowd anymore. Instead, he turned to the feng shui northern sect. Meng Sansheng believed that with his warning, no one would dare to stop him. Chapter 966. Grave Ghostfire, come out. Meng Sansheng shouted again. His voice pierced through the void. The entire northern sect was filled with Meng Sansheng's cold voice. There were many cities in the surroundings. Immediately, countless cultivators flew out of the cities in shock and quickly flew over. Yinchuan restrained Feng Yinyang, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin. Yao Tianshang restrained his subordinates. They frowned as they looked at Meng Sansheng. They did not know why Meng Sansheng was here. None of the feng shui masters stepped forward to fight Meng Sansheng. The primordial gourd was too powerful. Feng Yinyang could fight 10,000 people by himself, but Meng Sansheng could kill 10,000 people by himself. He was even more terrifying than Feng Yinyang. Meng Sansheng led Meng Hong Ying and Ren Shu to the center of the sect. There was a huge mountain at the center of the northern sect. However, this mountain was different from the other mountains. It was as bare as a grave. It looked extremely desolate from afar. Meng Sansheng's powerful aura pressed down. In the distance, at the center of the mountain, a crack slowly appeared. A figure slowly walked out from the crack. It was a gray-robed old man with silver hair. His eyes were cloudy, and his face was covered in wrinkles. He did not seem powerful at all. He looked more like an ordinary old man. Meng Sansheng narrowed his eyes and withdrew his aura. Meng Sansheng stared at the gray-robed old man. The old man walked to a balcony that appeared in front of him. The old man stood quietly on the balcony. Countless feng shui masters were shocked. Sect master? How? How is this possible? One of the feng shui masters exclaimed. Your grave ghost fire? How did you become so old? Meng Sansheng was shocked. The old man was the Northern Sect's sect master, Grave Ghostfire. He stood quietly on the balcony and looked around. His gaze swept past the experts, and suddenly he saw Feng Yinyang. A glimmer of light flashed across the ghostly fire's turbid eyes. He seemed to have guessed something. In the end, Grave Ghostfire looked at Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng, it's been so many years since we last met. Why have you come to my northern sect? The Ghostfire asked in a hoarse voice. Meng Sansheng frowned, but he still said in a deep voice, I want to borrow something from you. The grave willow. The wisp was silent for a moment before saying, Don't tell me you want to borrow my head. Ha, my head. Maybe I want the reincarnation pool. Meng Sansheng laughed. Reincarnation pool? Feng Yinyang's expression changed. What's wrong? Yin Chuan asked. Reincarnation pool? Your Majesty, this reincarnation pool is an important treasure of my Ghost Valley. You need to comprehend my Ghost Valley to a certain degree before you can refine it. My Southern Sect's sect masters, including my master, have never been able to refine it. This ghost flame is actually so powerful. Feng Yinyang said with a grave expression. Feng Yinyang exclaimed in surprise, while the ghost fire in the distant grave frowned. He turned his head and looked at the feng shui masters around him. Reincarnation pool? In order to refine the reincarnation pool, I reversed my lifespan and became what I am today. Only 5 people know about this, but I didn't expect you to plant a spy among them. Huh, you're really fast. The Ghostfire's eyes turned cold. Grave Ghostfire waved his hand. Bang, bang. 2 of the feng shui masters suddenly exploded, and their souls appeared in the Ghostfire's palm. And it wasn't just the 2 of them. 3 other souls shot over from all directions, which were instantly compressed into the palm of the graveyard ghost flame. Chapter 9, 67. Sectmaster, please spare my life. Sectmaster, I am innocent. Holy Lord, save me, save me. The 5 souls screamed in fear. Ka. The 5 souls were crushed into a wisp of green smoke in the hand of the grave's will-o'-the-wisp. Their souls were all destroyed. The grave ghost flame looked at Meng Sansheng again. Meng Sansheng, I know that you are cultivating the power of reincarnation and are searching for the rules of reincarnation. Everything in the world has reincarnation. You can search for it, but don't try to take me away. Although my reincarnation pool is called reincarnation, it is not the reincarnation of this world. It is useless to you. The grave ghost flame said. Useless? How do you know it is useless? The reincarnation pool is mine. I rarely leave the divine world, and this is a rare opportunity for me to come to the north. The reincarnation pool is mine. Meng Sansheng shouted. Oomph. The grave ghost flame snorted. If you want to see the reincarnation pool, go ahead. The grave ghost flame said coldly. As he spoke, the huge mound beneath the grave willow, the wisp's feet slowly disappeared. The ground below suddenly turned into a quiet pool of water. The grave willow, the wisp slowly stood on top of the pool. Reincarnation pool? Feng Yinyang's face darkened. What's the use of the reincarnation pool? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Feng Yinyang smiled bitterly and said, Your Majesty, there are many treasures in the world. The reincarnation pool of the Phantom Valley is a strange treasure. According to the Phantom Valley's inheritance, once I refine the reincarnation pool, I can capture the reincarnation spirit from the reincarnation for my use. What? Forcefully capture the reincarnation spirit from the reincarnation pool? Bai Diqian was shocked. Meng Sansheng looked at the huge reincarnation pool from afar, and a look of satisfaction flashed across his eyes. His pupils shrank and turned purple as he stared at the reincarnation pool. On the other hand, Ren Rat was terrified. Holy Lady, let's go. Run Rat shouted. What's wrong? I can sense that there's a terrifying power in the pool. Quick! Run Rat shouted. Meng Hongying saw Run Rat's expression and knew that it was dangerous. She quickly retreated and left Meng Sansheng. Buzz! A light ripple suddenly appeared in the reincarnation pool that was as calm as a mirror. Then the ripple became bigger and bigger. Slowly, a cultivator in blue Taoist robes emerged from the reincarnation pool. The cultivator in blue Taoist robes had his eyes closed and looked illusory. However, it seemed to only be his soul. Only when it completely floated out of the reincarnation pool did it suddenly open its eyes. Boom! The Taoist-robed cultivator released his aura, and a powerful storm erupted. Immortal? Meng Sansheng's face sank. The soul of an immortal? In the distance, Yao Tianshang's expression changed. Yin Chuan by D. Tian and company also looked at the scene in shock. Immortal? A ghost immortal preparing to reincarnate? The inheritance is indeed right. The cycle pool is an incredible treasure. Feng Yinyang exclaimed in shock. Who is it? Who dares to disturb my reincarnation? The ghost immortal's face immediately revealed a furious expression. It's him, Meng Sansheng. The ghost fire pointed at Meng Sansheng. At this moment, the ghost immortal's consciousness seemed to be muddled, and he was only slightly clear-headed. Bastard! The ghost immortal roared angrily at Meng Sansheng. Go tear him apart. The ghost fire called out softly. Boom! The ghost immortal charged into the sky and attacked Meng Sansheng. The moment the immortal appeared, the surrounding heaven-earth essence, qi, seemed to boil. He reached out his hand and attacked Meng Sansheng with an immortal technique. Chapter 968. As soon as the immortal appeared, the heaven and earth essence qi in the surroundings surged. He stretched out his hand and shot an immortal technique at Meng Sansheng. Above the void, a 10,000-foot-tall mountain appeared out of thin air. It fell from the sky and pressed down on Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng's face darkened. He stretched out his hand and hit the sky. Boom! The vast purple fist energy blocked the 10,000-foot-tall mountain. Roar! The ghost immortal roared and appeared at the peak of the mountain. He stepped on the mountain and exerted force with his feet. Boom! The mountain suddenly sank. Even with Meng Sansheng's strength, he was pressed into the ground from the sky. In the blink of an eye, he was pressed into the ground. When his feet touched the ground, Meng Sansheng was able to borrow strength. His feet trembled, and a wave of energy spread across the ground. It is indeed an immortal. Yin Chuan's eyes narrowed. Meng Sansheng was unable to resist. What level is this ghost immortal? Bai Ditian asked in surprise. Human immortal, the lowest level of immortal. I have killed one in my previous life. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Killed an immortal? Feng Yinyang, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. Was Yin Chuan that strong in his previous life? Yin Chuan continued to explain. Of course, killing a human immortal is not easy. I cannot kill one now. However, once Dezhan becomes a heavenly empire, I will not only be able to use the power of providence, but I will also be able to use the power of the nation and the power of the people. Once the heavenly empire is formed, I will be able to use the power of the people. It will not be difficult to kill a human immortal with the power of the nation. The three of them nodded. They did not understand. Your Majesty. Feng Yinyang suddenly narrowed his eyes. What is it? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Look at the willow, the wisp in the grave. Isn't it older than before? Feng Yinyang's expression changed. Everyone looked at the ghost flame. Indeed, there were more wrinkles on the ghost flame's body. He even looked thinner. It was as if a gentle breeze could blow it over. Indeed, Yin Chuan nodded. Taking a deep breath, Feng Yinyang's eyes lit up. The ghost fire in the grave sacrificed its lifespan in order to create the reincarnation pool. It must have consumed a lot to capture this ghost immortal from the reincarnation pool. Is it possible? Yin Chuan's expression changed. Feng Yinyang nodded and said, That's right. Perhaps there is a way. Your Majesty, this time we might be able to completely merge the Ghost Valley's branch. Yin Chuan nodded. The four of them stood in the distance, ready to cooperate with Feng Yinyang. At the peak of another mountain, Yao Tiansheng and the group of great demons stared into the distance. Yao Tiansheng narrowed his eyes. Yao Emperor, that's an immortal. A great Yao said worriedly. The demon emperor said in a low voice, Immortal? So what? In my previous life, I once killed a human immortal. Although that human immortal was suppressed by this world, I still killed him. What I care about is the Hongmeng gourd. Hongmeng gourd? The great demons were surprised. Yao Emperor, what about the reincarnation pool? Another great demon asked. Heh, reincarnation pool? Don't you see that the ghost fire in the grave is getting older? From the name, you can guess that it is a treasure that connects to the reincarnation pool. In other words, it is just a reincarnation entrance opened by a feng shui master. That reincarnation entrance is useless to us now because there is no powerful feng shui master who can control it. Even if there is a feng shui master, doesn't the ghost fire's current condition mean that the reincarnation pool is a disaster? Yao Tianshang said calmly. Chapter 969. The Monster Emperor is wise. The great monsters were impressed. Remember, if you have the chance, follow me to get the primordial gourd. Yao Tianshang shouted. Yes. The great monsters replied. Renrat and Meng Hongying retreated to the side. An immortal? Oh no, that's an immortal. The sacred master is in trouble. Renrat said timidly. No, Grandpa will be fine. Meng Hongying said worriedly. Countless feng shui masters gathered from all directions and watched this scene with excitement. The sect master could even summon an immortal. He was too powerful. In the distance, Meng Sansheng, who was being crushed by the giant mountain, was having a hard time. You dare to disturb my reincarnation? Damn it. The immortal stomped his foot again. Boom! The giant mountain sank again. Meng Sansheng was about to be crushed. Roar! Meng Sansheng roared at the foot of the mountain. For a moment, purple light shone from the foot of the mountain. Bang! Boundless purple light instantly dyed the world purple. Countless cultivators in the surroundings revealed astonished expressions. They saw the giant mountain slowly rising. Meng Sansheng was lifting it up bit by bit. The surrounding cultivators all looked at this scene in shock. How is this possible? An immortal's attack? Although they were far away, everyone felt that it was unstoppable. Meng Sansheng blocked it. The purple light shrouded Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng's power could be vaguely seen inside the purple light. The purple Taoist crown slipped down, and Meng Sansheng's long hair fluttered. The primordial gourd left Meng Sansheng's body, and his back suddenly bulged. Boom! The bulge on Meng Sansheng's back suddenly exploded. In an instant, it turned into a pair of giant wings. The endless purple light was instantly sucked back into the wings. Buzz! When the purple light disappeared, people could finally see a pair of purple wings. It was exceptionally dazzling. Meng Sansheng's surroundings became blurry. Apparently, the air around him was trembling. A pair of purple wings appeared. Meng Sansheng's pressure was lifted. He held the giant mountain with a ferocious expression. The reincarnation pool? I'm taking it. Ha ha ha. Meng Sansheng suddenly laughed. His hand smashed towards the huge mountain. Boom! Meng Sansheng arrived in front of Ghost Immortal in an instant. You're courting death. Ghost Immortal roared. You're the one courting death. Meng Sansheng sneered. A man and an immortal clashed their palms together. Hong! Ghost Immortal's blue light and Meng Sansheng's purple light exploded with a dazzling brilliance. Heaven and earth lost their color in the face of these two colors. Under the dazzling light, the surrounding cultivators could not see what was going on. A ghost immortal who has lost his physical body wants to compete with me. Meng Sansheng roared in the light. Ah! Ghost Immortal's miserable shriek came from within the ball of light. Boom! The light suddenly dispersed, revealing a scene that shocked countless Xiuzha. Meng Sansheng had torn off the arms of that extremely powerful Ghost Immortal. He was incomparably weak from the pain. These weren't the arms of a physical body, but the body of a soul. Immortals had their arms twisted off by mortals? Was Meng Sansheng, who was flapping his wings, immortal? It was as if the immortal no longer had the strength to fight. Treasure, please take it. Meng Sansheng shouted again. Rumble. The primordial gourd madly sucked at Ghost Immortal again. Chapter 970. Ah, bastard! Ghost Immortal screamed in horror, but his arms were instantly sucked into the gourd. Roar! The weak Ghost Immortal fled in horror, but the suction force of the Hongmeng gourd was too strong. Ghost Immortal struggled to escape, but he couldn't escape from the Hongmeng gourd. Take! 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 Ah! Finally, Ghost Immortal couldn't hold on any longer. He screamed and was forcibly sucked into the Hongmeng gourd. Bang! Meng Sansheng closed the Hongmeng gourd. Countless cultivators in the surroundings were at a loss. At this moment, even though there were millions of cultivators around, they were still silent. Immortal? That's an immortal. Was he sucked into the Hongmeng gourd? In the distance, Yao Tiansheng looked at the Hongmeng gourd with more enthusiasm. This was a fanaticism. Immortal? Even an immortal could be sucked in? Could it be that after injuring the opponent and making them unable to resist, it could be taken at will? Meng Sansheng grabbed the Hongmeng gourd and shook it gently, as if he was refining Ghost Immortal. Not far away, Ninth Rat's eyes were wide open. He looked at Meng Sansheng's current state with a blank expression, wings on his back. Refining an immortal? How strong is Meng Sansheng? 3 times, still 3 times. Meng Sansheng gently opened the gourd. Suddenly, more Hongmeng purple qi than before appeared and was sucked into Meng Sansheng's stomach. Was the immortal already refined? Countless cultivators in all directions were horrified. Meng Sansheng was too terrifying. Feng Yinyang was slightly worried, but Yin Chuan's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. Because Yin Chuan was more farsighted. The stronger Meng Sansheng was, the more desperate grave Ghost Flame would be. It would lay a stronger foundation for Feng Yinyang to obtain the other half of Ghost Valley's inheritance. In the distance, Meng Sansheng stood high in the sky again, looking down with a pair of giant purple wings. Grave Ghost Flame, give me the reincarnation pool, Meng Sansheng said coldly. At this moment, Meng Sansheng was the only one in the whole place. It seemed that no one could stop him. Below, above the reincarnation pool, the Ghost Flame shook his head. Meng Sansheng, you should know that in order to refine the reincarnation pool, I reverse the flow of my lifespan. My lifespan and the reincarnation pool are one. Giving you the reincarnation pool is the same as giving you my life. Do you think it's possible? Oof, I'm already here today. Even if you're an immortal, I'll still refine it. The Grand Mist Violet Chi refined by an immortal will allow me to reach my peak state. You can't stop me, Meng Sansheng shouted. At this moment, the ghost fire in the grave suddenly aged once more. Its originally silver-white hair had now turned white. A large amount of hair fell out, and his body became thinner. More and more wrinkles appeared, and even a few of his teeth suddenly fell out. The grave Ghost Flame said in a hoarse voice, Human immortal, you can stop it. Let's see how a Xian immortal can stop it. Rumble. The entire reincarnation pool was like boiling water. In an instant, there was an uproar. It had to be known that when the Ghost Immortal appeared, it was merely a ripple. Now, the entire pool was boiling. A towering aura was emitted from the reincarnation pool. As soon as the powerful aura was released, countless cultivators in the surroundings were suppressed to the point that they curled up on the ground. Just this suppression alone was enough to make countless cultivators unable to bear it. A pair of huge black dragon horns slowly emerged from the reincarnation pool. As soon as the dragon horns appeared, the surroundings were immediately filled with black chi. The dragon horns continued to rise, and gradually, a huge dragon head slowly emerged from the reincarnation pool. Chapter 971. The surrounding void trembled violently. Once the berserk aura of a Xian immortal was released, it immediately forced countless practitioners to fall to the ground. The powerful pressure made countless practitioners unable to breathe for a moment. Immortal? Is this the power of an immortal? Countless cultivators roared in their hearts. Facing this aura, many Shioja suddenly felt that they were like ants. A huge black dragon had slowly rushed out of the reincarnation pool. This time, it was different from before. It had a physical body. However, this was a blind dragon. Roar! The blind dragon roared and waved its tail. Its body drilled out of the reincarnation pool. Boom! Coiling in the air, a domineering aura spread out. Who is it? The blind dragon roared. It's him. Meng Sansheng. Tear him to pieces. The ghost flame in the grave yelled weakly. Roar! The blind dragon charged at Meng Sansheng. Meng Sansheng's face darkened. He struck out with his palm, and a huge palm print appeared in the air. Boom! The blind dragon angrily roared and slammed into Meng Sansheng. It soared into the sky with a loud bang. Bastard! Meng Sansheng's face changed. This was the first time Meng Sansheng lost his composure. Meng Sansheng still had some strength when facing a human immortal, but now it was a profound immortal with a physical body. Meng Sansheng was forced to retreat. This is a corpse dragon. Feng Yinyang's face darkened. Corpse dragon. Lu Jin didn't understand. There are volcanoes in the world of the living and springs in the world of the underworld. They are filled with extreme yin and death qi. If a cultivator's physical body falls in, it will quickly freeze into powder. However, there are exceptions. They can absorb the power of the springs and come back to life. However, when they come back to life, they will be in the form of a zombie. Moreover, all of them are king zombies. Feng Yinyang explained. King zombies? You're saying that this corpse dragon died a long time ago and was revived by the springs? Lu Jin was shocked. Yin Chuan didn't care about the corpse dragon. Instead, he stared at the reincarnation pool in the distance. Feng Yinyang, get ready. Yin Chuan shouted. Feng Yinyang's expression changed as he nodded. Ong. The corpse dragon soared into the sky, and its explosive power smashed into Meng Sansheng. The huge collision caused the surrounding space to explode and a storm to rise. The earth trembled as the two collided. Countless feng shui masters looked up at the sky in admiration. That was a Xian immortal. It was summoned by the sect leader. It was an existence that could only be achieved after transcending the tribulation at the 10th level of the upper void stage. But now he was working for the sect leader. Yao Tianshang glanced at the ghost fire in the distance and immediately confirmed his thoughts. Returning to the pool would consume a lot of his lifespan. Even if he took it, it wouldn't be of much use. However, the Hongmeng gourd was different. Demon Emperor, what do we do now? A great demon asked with a hint of joy. Meng Sansheng has finally met his match. Let's wait. Yao Tianshang's eyes glowed. But Rinrat and Meng Hongying kept retreating. Xian immortal? How can the ghost fire summon such an existence? Rinrat said in fear. The surface of the reincarnation pool slowly calmed down. To the ghost fire, summoning the Xian immortal and giving it a command was enough. Whoosh! All of a sudden, 4 figures shot over. In an instant, 4 figures appeared in front of the reincarnation pool. Feng Yinyang, Yin Chuan, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian all looked at the ghost fire with a serious expression. The ghost fire narrowed its eyes and stared at Feng Yinyang. Chapter 972. Li Kanglin, passed it to you? The grave asked in a hoarse voice. Sect Master Nan. Feng Yinyang greets the Northern Sect Master. Feng Yinyang took a deep breath and said, I met Li Kanglin 100 years ago. I didn't expect him to pass it to you in just 100 years. I saw how you controlled the 100 dragons. It's incredible that you can develop the Ghost Valley to this extent in just 100 years. The grave said in a low voice. Feng Yinyang didn't want to take advantage of others. I believe that one day I will be able to take back the Northern Sect's inheritance and unite the Ghost Valley. However, the world has changed and the immortals are no longer restricted. In fact, immortals from the immortal world will enter this world one after another. At that time, if the Ghost Valley's enemies come, we won't be able to unite the Ghost Valley. If we lose one, our lineage will be broken. We can only offend them this time. Feng Yinyang took a deep breath and said. The grave smiled at Feng Yinyang. If you want it, come. The grave smiled. As the grave spoke, it slowly sank into the reincarnation pool. Feng Yinyang's face darkened. Your Majesty, follow me. Feng Yinyang shouted. Okay. The four of them immediately flew to the reincarnation pool and jumped in together. Plop. As if they had fallen into water, they sank into the pool. Yin Chuan's actions also attracted the attention of the surrounding experts. Yao Tianshang narrowed his eyes. Demon Emperor, Yin Chuan, and Bai Ditian are chasing after the grave, a great demon said worriedly. Yao Tianshang sneered and said, That's for the best. They won't disturb us. Yao Tianshang didn't care. However, the Feng Shui masters didn't think so. Oh no, it's Feng Yinyang from the South Sect. They are chasing after the sect master. The South Sect wants to snatch the sect master's inheritance. Quick, protect the sect master. Jiahu came from all directions. A large number of Feng Shui masters quickly gathered and jumped into the reincarnation pool. Once they entered the reincarnation pool, Yin Chuan and the others felt as if they were in the depths of the universe. Not far away was a huge blue hole. Inside the hole, circles of blue light were spinning crazily. Within the blue light, there seemed to be different figures appearing and disappearing from time to time. The grave stood in front of the whole lord and looked at the four of them. Your Majesty, that's the reincarnation passage. Don't go in there. The pressure of the reincarnation passage can turn even a human immortal into dust. Feng Yinyang said. Yes. Yin Chuan nodded. The grave willow. The wisp looked at Feng Yinyang and said, You want my inheritance? I'll give you a chance. The Ghost Valley Spirit Realm? Yainin in the end, he said. The reincarnation pool. And S. He closed his eyes and placed his hands on his knees. Feng Yinyang took a deep breath and said, Your Majesty, the Ghost Valley Spirit Realm is a fighting technique of the Ghost Valley. It's a battle in the realm of mind. There's no concept of time there. I might wake up in a few breaths, or it might take a few days. Your Majesty, please protect me and ensure that my body won't be hurt. Okay. Yin Chuan nodded. By the way, Your Majesty, don't get within 30 meters of the ghost fire because the reincarnation passage will take you in. The reason he can sit there is because he has the reincarnation pool, so no one can touch his body. Feng Yinyang warned. Okay. Yin Chuan nodded. Chapter 973. In the void, Feng Yinyang and Ghostfire sat cross-legged and slowly closed their eyes. Buzz! Both of their bodies trembled slightly. Then, they fell into a long silence. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, a large number of Feng Shui masters rushed into the reincarnation pool and appeared in the void. Countless Feng Shui masters looked around in confusion. Then, a Feng Shui master flew toward Ghostfire. Sect Master, are you all right? That person quickly approached. However, a suction force came from behind Ghostfire, and that person screamed as he was sucked into the reincarnation passage. Whoosh! That person disappeared without a trace. Countless Feng Shui masters froze and did not dare to move forward. As for Yin Chuan's group, seeing that Ghostfire was fine, no one dared to cause trouble. After all, the clash between Bai Ditian and Meng Sansheng was deeply engraved in everyone's minds. Yin Chuan, Lu Jin, and Bai Ditian protected Feng Yinyang and did not move. At this moment, Ghostfire's body trembled slightly, and a soul slowly emerged from Ghostfire's body. Keek. That wisp of soul let out a sinister and evil laugh. Sect Master, are you all right? A Feng Shui master asked with concern. The wisp of soul was still connected to the willow, the wisp in the grave. Keek, Ghostfire, you have some tricks up your sleeve. As expected of a descendant of my Mu clan, I destroyed your fate, but you still managed to escape here and achieve what you have today. The reincarnation passage? You can actually open the reincarnation passage? The wisp of soul laughed evilly in surprise. That soul is not Ghostfire. Lu Jin's expression changed. Mu clan? This is a clan? Yin Chuan's expression darkened. The wisp of soul that emerged from the grave, Will-O-Wisp, looked around and finally looked at Feng Yingyang. Keek, you actually established a consciousness passage with someone else? Through the bloodline of the Mu clan? I can't harm you, but as long as I kill him, your consciousness will be destroyed along with him. Ha ha ha. Reincarnation passage? You're really making things easy for me. The soul laughed evilly. Then, the soul waved at the reincarnation passage. Roar! A green dragon soul rushed out of the reincarnation passage and charged towards Feng Yingyang. Boom! Lu Jin punched out and immediately scattered the soul. Oh, Immortal? Ha ha ha! The soul said disdainfully. He continued to wave his hand. Rumble! In an instant, a large number of Yin souls rushed out of the reincarnation passage and pounced on Feng Yingyang. Roar! 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 The divine souls of humans, demons, and dragons were summoned. A large number of divine souls that had been reincarnated were summoned and rushed towards Yin Chuan and the others. Boom! 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 Lu Jin flicked her horsetail whisk and quickly fought against the souls that came one after another. But more and more divine souls appeared. Keek, at the entrance of the reincarnation passage, I can have as many reincarnated divine souls as I want. Let's see how long you can last. The Mu clan laughed evilly. Then a large number of souls poured out of the reincarnation passage. Your Majesty, these souls are in a chaotic state. Although they're not as strong as immortals, they are quite extraordinary. The old slave can't hold on much longer. Lu Jin exclaimed. Let me. Bai Detian stepped forward. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.